Hokage Starting from the Instant Full Level, Chapter 201-220. Chapter 201, One Hit Kill. Hidden. Xiao Nan was startled. No, it should be said that the nerves of all the people present seemed to be moved because of these remarks. In their eyes, Uchiha Ryu should be subdued under this unexpected attack. However, Gyujia's evaluation now has subverted their cognition. When he saw Long Yu's cheeks with the same expression as before, a brighter smile bloomed, his nerves were almost broken. Is this what you rely on? Long Yu said with a smile. As a result, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. The small voice seemed to be infused with magic sound at this moment. Nagato's expression was stagnant, and there was a flash of urgency on his face. He didn't have time to think about it, and roared, Yahiko, Kai is changing, hurry up and seal him. Got it. Yahiko couldn't hold his breath either. He took a step forward, and at the same time he accelerated forward. The two sealing spells clenched in his hands went straight to Long Yu's body. However, at the moment of contact, the solid figure in front of him, like a reflection on the lake, stirred up a series of ripples, causing the spell in his hand, and even his entire body, to pass through directly. The strange scene caused an inexplicable silence in the atmosphere. The next moment everyone was like a ghost, their pupils shrunk to the extreme, and even their eye sockets were almost split. Lei Dunyi Axe Shen Lei passed through Yahiko, the thunderlight on Long Yu's body exploded like a frenzy. Without any fancy, his feet were like a thunderstorm and hurricane, turning around and kicking out. Yahiko and Nagato, who were close at hand, flew backwards like cannonballs. After flying for dozens of meters, they collided together on a rock 3 to 5 meters high. The huge impact force made them vomit blood, and at the same time, it shook the rock out of cracks like spider webs. Nagato, are you okay? Yahiko took the lead and stood firm, looked at Nagato beside him, and asked anxiously. The two of them looked embarrassed, but this was just a one-sided battle of rape, so Uchiha Ryu didn't use his full strength at all. Just after knocking them into the air a little bit, I gave them a little pain and let them eat first. Feeling the blood tumbling in his body, Nagato wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth while he was horrified, and hurriedly looked at Long Yu, and before he could speak, he saw the 9-hooked jade writing wheel eye, and it turned again in vain. It's time to end. The simple 4 characters were swallowed in Long Yu's mouth and caught in the air with his right hand. A huge tidal wave of invisible, as if rolling down from the sky, poured on Nagato and Yahiko. Boom! The two slammed heavily on the ground, the huge pressure caused the ground to reverberate. The surrounding ground seemed to be overwhelmed, sinking. The rocks in the distance could not bear this surge of power, and burst into cobweb-like cracks. Looking at this extremely bizarre scene, the expressions of everyone present changed drastically. What is this? Xiao Nan was the first to lose his temper, and wanted to rush forward, but was stopped by Gyujia's dignified look. However, Kosuke was not in a hurry to draw a conclusion. He took out a kunai with his backhand and threw it directly at Yahiko and the others. I thought it was a violent assassination move. However, as soon as kunai approached Yahiko and Nagato dozens of meters away, the kunai that had shot out, seemed to be pulled by an invisible force in an instant. The next moment, it slammed down heavily on the ground. Witnessing this scene, Gyujia's face changed drastically, and he looked at Long Yu with disbelief. What a strong pupil technique, it can actually control the space to change the gravity in the field. If you are caught off guard, it is enough to kill you in one blow. The people present were stunned in one blow. No, it should be said that even Nagato and Yahiko, who were pressed to the ground by gravity Hitomi, were no exception. They could feel the power that this huge boost was on their bodies, and they knew clearly that if Long Yu really wanted to kill them just now. Absolutely one-hit kills. Thought about it, they were still full of confidence just a moment ago, and after opening the eyes of reincarnation, the imaginary enemy was Uchiha Ryu. But the result obtained now is like an invisible slap, a slap in the face. If there are 2 holes in front of them, whether it is a dog hole or not, they can't wait to go straight into it. Long Yu, can you spare Nagato and Yahiko? Xiaonan suddenly regained his senses and pleaded for mercy in a hurry. Looking at Xiaonan with that helpless expression, Long Yu rolled his eyes helplessly and said, "Don't worry, if I wanted to kill them, I would have already died tens of thousands of times. I just want them to know that there is no strongest reincarnation only the most rubbish master. On the battlefield, don't hold a contemptuous heart, or you won't even know how to die." Nagato's expression couldn't help but stagnate with the slightly elusive voice, and after a few breaths of struggle, the whole person was like a deflated balloon, and said with a wry smile, "Long Yu, thank you for your teaching, just now. It's we're too floating." "Haha, Yahiko is right, it was true that we were too flirtatious just now, I hope you don't take offense." Yahiko laughed in vain. After the fiasco, he obviously lost the slightest bit of restraint and returned to his usual carefree. After all, in the original work, Nagato's character is cold and calm, and Conan's kindness and affinity are overwhelming, but Yahiko has the general halo characteristics of Pig's Feet, and is a brainless series. Now even Nagato has voluntarily conceded defeat, and he doesn't have to hold on to this stance mask for the sake of his brother. It seems that the lesson is not profound enough, but it's okay. And after the Jugo Jade writing wheel quickly dissipated, the changed gravity of the space was also dissipated directly. Nagato and Yahiko, who were liberated, immediately. Relief. Without the slightest hesitation, he turned to the sky and took a deep breath. Looking at Xiaonan who was approaching with a concerned look, Yahiko touched the corner of his mouth, and the remaining blood said, "Xiaonan, don't worry, we are willing to accept the bet, and I will try to push down the invitation of Sanjiao Yuhanzo in a while. You don't have to worry anymore." Chapter 202, Another Gamble. "Yahiko, are you going to turn down the invitation of Sanjiao Yuhanzo?" Xiaonan looked happy and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao's organization's vitality is severely damaged, and being involved in any dispute is enough to overthrow them. After the last experience, every move of Hanzang Sanjiao was enough to affect their nerves. Now all of a sudden, throwing an olive branch to them is indeed worthy of caution. "Yahiko, have you really figured it out?" Nagato suddenly opened his mouth and said, "In case, this time, Sanjiao Yuhanzo is really willing to reconcile, and give us the place of Wulong Mountain to be stationed by our Xiao organization, which is very beneficial to our long-term development." Speaking of this, Nagato couldn't help but paused, looked at Uchiha Ryayu, and said, "Although we have 10,000 tales of his help, don't forget, to grow Akatsuki's organization, the money needed would a long wait. It's even harder for ninjas to achieve true peace." The slightly elusive voice reverberated between heaven and earth, and there was no way to dissipate it for a long time. Xiaonan opened his mouth to speak and then stopped. However, when it comes to speaking, there is still no way to spit it out. After all, Nagato was right, and the Akatsuki organization would continue to grow and develop without territorial support. "No, we're willing to admit defeat." Yahiko shook his head, patted the dust on his body, and stood up with a little difficulty. "Otherwise, letting people outside think that our organization doesn't even have the most basic credibility, which will only make people look down upon it. No need." Long Yu patted the dust on his body and said, "I just abused the vegetables and didn't stop you from attending the meeting. What's more, you have already agreed to Sanjiao Yuhanzo just now, and now you suddenly refuse, which will only make Sanjiao Yuhanzo suspicious. If you do and say goodbye, you will be punished." Of the people present suddenly changed. Xiaonan couldn't help but asked, "Long Yu, what should we do? Could it be that we are led by the nose like Sanjiao Yuhanzo?" "It's not us, it's you." Long Yu smiled warmly and said, "I'm not a member of your Xiao organization. Furthermore, I thought who Nagato and Yahiko were just now, but I'm still determined to win the invitation of Sanjiao Yuhanzo in my heart. Since you are confident that you can deal with it, why don't you go to the appointment and see if they are sincere or deliberately set up a situation, so that you will not have any regrets in your hearts. Go to an appointment. Xiaonan's expression froze, and he said, Long Yu, are you kidding me? For Long Yu to distance himself from Xiao organization, Xiaonan felt as if there was an invisible big hand clenched in his heart. Now she heard that Long Yu had asked Yahiko and Nagato to make an appointment, which affected her nerves even more. However, before Xiaonan's words were exhausted, Yahiko, who was beside him, was the first to say with a smile, Long Yu, your thoughts are indeed different. Nagato and I are also growing up during this period. We are opponents in the face of you, but we still have some confidence in the Hanzo Kayama pepperfish. So, for the future development of the Xiao organization, we are still willing to take a gamble. Having said that, Yahiko didn't go, just looked at Long Yu quietly. After all, the outcome was in front of you. As long as Long Yu said nothing, Yahiko would never go to the appointment. Don't stare at me like that. Didn't you just say that this is your Xiao organization's business and has nothing to do with me? Long Yu rolled his eyes and said, Someone is coming. The voice fell, very. Immediately, he saw 3 figures rushing towards him in the distance, and the one who took the lead was the Anbu ninja of Yurin village. It only took a dozen breaths, and finally landed in front of Yahiko and Nagato. You two, you know that there is nothing serious about the organization. I think I heard an explosion just now. The commander of the Urinary Dark Army suddenly spoke up. Yahiko hurriedly changed his smiling face, touched the back of his head and said, Nagato and I were training ninjutsu combinations just now. We went out of the way and caused an explosion, which alarmed 3 people. I'm really sorry. Is it? The commander of Urinan looked around the arena with flickering eyes, and after a pause on Long Yu, he quickly retracted, since the 2 leaders said there is no problem, then it is inconvenient for us to ask. However, Lord Hanzo attaches great importance to you. If you have any problems, even if you raise them, Lord Hanzo will try to help you. Everything is for the peace of the ninja world. Everything is for the peace of the ninja world. Yahiko's cheek muscles twitched slightly and patted his chest lightly. Seeing this awkward chat, Long Yu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose. However, the head of the Dark Army of Yurin village obviously did not intend to stay any longer, and said, if the 2 leaders have no objection, then after half a day, we will set off. Thank you Hanzo-sama for your kindness, then we will meet in a long time. Yahiko nodded quickly in agreement. Then he saw the commander of the Dark Army of Yurin village, turned around and left quickly with 2 of his subordinates. 3 of them leave. Yahiko breathed a sigh of relief, looked back at Long Yu again and said, Thank you for your success this time, but we can't figure out what Hanzo is thinking. Why didn't we gamble again? If Hanzang Sanjiao can't make a move, then we have won, and the debt we owed you just now will be written off. In case Sanjiao Hanzo shoots at us, if we can't retreat, we lose, then the Xiao organization belongs to you. The small voice caused a commotion in the field, and even Ji Yujia and the others were shocked. This Xiao organization has developed to the present, and it can be regarded as a second-tier force in Yurin village. By Sanshoyu Hanzo, but there are only 300 or 400 people in the current Akatsuki organization. If you count the number of expatriates, it may reach 600 or 700, 100 people. This is more than the number of people in a small ninja village. The strength among them is uneven. However, if they were allowed to join any ninja village, as long as they were trained systematically for 1 or 2 times, it would be a good fighting force. As for Nagato with the Eye of Reincarnation, Yahiko, Konan and others, placed in the 5 major ninja villages, are also very good ninjas. Originally, under Long Yu's command, a large number of rebels and forbearance gathered together, and once the Lianxiao organization also took refuge under his command. Such numbers and powerhouses, I am afraid that even the 5 great ninja villages will be moved by it. Don't give it away for nothing, you are too weak. Long Yu suddenly waved his hand. What's more, I don't like dragging oil bottles. You should let God bless you. I hope that Hanzo Sanzo won't touch your mind. I don't want to clean up this mess. These words, Long Yu looked at Xiao Nan and said, I won't prepare a room for your great benefactor, I will wait until the flowers are gone, get a good night's sleep and set off. I'll prepare it for you right away. After Xiao Nan responded hastily, he quickly followed. Looking at the distant figure, Yahiko's cheeks couldn't help twitching. Chapter 203, Tenderness. Yahiko, are you crazy? Give him the Akatsuki organization as a bet. He is the enemy of the 5 great ninja villages, and the rebellious ninja of Konoha Ninja Village. This runs counter to our concept of peace. Nagato was the first to lose his temper. In their eyes, Long Yu extended a helping hand to them many times. However, in the case of different ideas, they want to draw a clear line with Long Yu. However, now Yahiko has made such a crazy decision to let Long Yu take over the Xiao organization. Doesn't that mean that the Xiao organization should be linked with the rebel group? Yahiko is gone. They were equally eager to figure out what Yahiko was thinking. Have you ever thought about it? The development concept of our Xiao organization is peace, but along the way, we have experienced many wars and conspiracies, and even the Sanjiao Yu Hanzo, who has always thought he can understand us, has secretly shot at us from behind. I wanted to make the world peaceful. In addition to having ideas, you must also have strong strength as a backing, so that people will listen to your ideas. Yahiko's expression sank, and he clenched his fists. What's more, under the contact during this period of time, Uchiha Ryu is not the same as the rumors, and you have seen these Nagato with your own eyes. Of course, I just planned for the worst. As long as Sanjiao Yu Hanzo really accepts us, the Xiao organization will still be led by us. Besides, didn't you hear that he didn't even want a free gift? The slightly elongated voice made everyone in the field look different. Nagato's cheeks couldn't help twitching when he heard this sentence. He didn't want to give away for free, and he took a deep breath before he recovered. Gritted his teeth and said, Uchiha Ryu, look at me, I have the strongest samsara eyes in the ninja world, and I will surpass you in time. At that time, I will return these words to you. Okay, I want you to do the same, but Fairy is a little hungry, let's go eat first and then go on the road. Yahiko also patted Nagato's shoulder proudly. However, he immediately disarmed and surrendered because of the sound of drumming coming from his belly. Watching the 2 leaders of the Akatsuki organization leave in a fuss, Kosuke and Matai couldn't help but look at each other and fell into silence. This time, they hid the identity of the Konoha ninja and infiltrated the Akatsuki organization, which seemed a bit inappropriate. However, it is precisely because of this reason that they can see that under the madness of Uchiha Ryu, which is widely rumored in the outside world, it makes people look sideways. If you have to find an adjective. Is this a Taihan tenderness? You too, don't forget our purpose this time. The medical ninja, who had never had much presence, suddenly spoke up. Don't worry, we remember our mission. Ji sighed faintly, turned around and followed Long Yu's footsteps with Mat Dai. Under Xiao Nan's arrangement, Long Yu lives in luxury. Inside the VIP tent with a level collar. Xiao Nan again and again, after shyly escaping from the tent, Long Yu did not take a rest for the first time, but instead looked at the door of the tent. Since you're here, why not, don't you have something to tell me? Long Yu smiled warmly. Haha, your skills are really good, you deserve to be known as the genius of the Konoha Ninja Village, the closest to the first Hokage, the god of ninjas. Ji took the lead and opened the curtain with a big laugh and walked in. Long Yu rolled his eyes helplessly and said, don't put on a tall hat for me. If I guess correctly, you are here to be a lobbyist for the 3-generation-old man. The premise of asking me to participate in the 5 shadow talks is to return the tailed beast. As soon as these words came out, the smile on Kosuke's face suddenly became unnatural, and finally he sighed. Uchiha Ryu, you are not only powerful, but also sharp-eyed and wise. However, you should be very clear that the 3rd generation of adults made this decision entirely to avoid the runaway of the times. Among the 5 major ninja villages, there are already 4 major ninja villages that have expressed hostility to you. I know that your strength and means are very strong, but your fists are no match for 4. If the 4 major ninja villages declare war on you, our Konoha ninja village's position will also be shaken, and at that time, you will become the target of public criticism, and I am afraid you will be doomed. Having said that, Gyujia looked at Long Yu, and there was a hint of urgency in his eyes. Under this kind of reason, they were eager to see if Long Yu would make a rational choice. You bastard, get out of here, dare to let the boss hand us back to those nasty guys. Sanwei's voice came out suddenly. Soon I saw that a fist-sized tailed beast was drilled out of Long Yu's cloak. That's right, the 3 of Kosuke, S3 did not read it wrong. Along with Kawaii's 3 tails, there were 2 more tails. 4 tails, and 7 tails. Of the 4-tailed beasts and their angry eyes, Gyujia and the others couldn't help shivering. Is this riding a horse still human? They already knew that Uchiha Ryu was catching the tailed beast. But I never imagined that in just 10 days, not only the second and second tails of Yunrin village, but also the 7 tails of Taki Ninja village fell into the hands of Long Yu. Moreover, these tailed beasts not only have no seals, but also carry them with them at will. This scene, placed in the major ninja villages, is simply unbelievable. Why don't you speak? If it wasn't for the boss asking me to restrain my temper, I would just open my mouth and slap you all. After giving Sanwei a vicious glance, he turned around with his head shaking his head and said, Boss, I did a good job, that one. Do you still have that? At the 3 tails that turned into 2 hags, Long Yu rolled his eyes helplessly, and grabbed it in the space scroll. And throw it directly into the sky. For this sudden move, Gyujia and the others just made a sound at first, but even when he saw the fierce-tailed beast in the eyes of outsiders, he jumped up and grabbed the food. Looking at the group of tailed beasts arguing like Erha, the 3 of Kosuke couldn't help rubbing their eyes, their faces filled with disbelief. Kunmaru, you can play with them. Long Yu threw a large bag of dried fish to Junmalu with his backhand. Of Sanwei shouting and killing, and went after him directly. A time, the originally noisy tent suddenly became silent. Long Yu looked at the 3 of Gyujia lightly, and said, You should also see that if it wasn't for the power of the ninja coveting the tailed beasts and intending to take them as their own, they would never hold grudges against people, nor would there will be a tail beast riot. I'm just setting things right. If I don't hand them over, the times will run wild, so let me go, and I'll wipe out the ninja world. To level the ninja world. Gyujia and the others' faces changed dramatically. Chapter 204, 8 Gates. They never imagined that things would evolve to such an extent. However, in the face of what Long Yu had just said, they had no way of refuting. Go back and tell the 3-generation-old man that my goal is only the 9 big-tailed beasts. As long as you give me the tailed beasts, I don't mind what you want to toss the ninja world into. Long Yu glanced at everyone lightly. However, I still want to remind you that this ninja world hides a black hand who promotes the war behind the scenes. I hope you don't become cannon fodder and help people with money. Gyujia's expression changed, and he hurriedly asked, Long Yu, what do you mean, who is the culprit? Faced with these 2 questions in a row, Long Yu smiled and shook his head and said, This is impossible to say. However, if Matai is willing to use the 8-door Dunjia formation as a bargaining chip, I can tell you who this black hand is. You want the 8-door Dunjia formation. Matai was stunned for a moment, then he grabbed Long Yu's hand with excitement, and said excitedly, Uchiha Long Yu, you are really my confidant. You know that it took me all my life to learn the 8th Amen Dunjia formation is powerful. Gusuk, have you seen my physical skills, but some people appreciate it. Who was almost dancing with joy. Long Gyujia's face changed slightly, and he didn't think that Long Yu would propose the conditions for such a transaction. He and the 3 generations of Hokage have seen the casting process of the 8 gates of Dunjia with their own eyes. He also clearly understands the difficulty of practicing in it. If it weren't for the ninjas who mainly exercise physical skills all the year round, with their physical qualities stronger than ordinary people, it is impossible to learn. Moreover, in order to really exert the power of the 8 gates of Dunjia, at least the 4th and 5th gates need to be opened. Under this premise, Meitei understands the 8-door Dunjia formation. But his physical quality is no match for Matkei. It is not bad to be able to open the 5th door for a short time to the level of Shaoli's Chunin exam. Forcibly opening the 6th and 7th, it is also a short time of a few seconds. And the backlash will be even more powerful after the fact. As for the 8th gate, unless Meitei has a mortal mentality, even Kai can only support it for a minute or two. With his physique, once the door of death is opened, I am afraid that the whole person will go to the gate of hell. Long Yu, although I have long heard that you know ninjutsu and have a natural talent for learning, the dangers in the 8-door Dunjia formation are not as simple as you think. I advise you not to take this idea. Jiujia's eyes flickered, and he was the first to speak. However, if you really have to, we might as well take a gamble. Meitei can teach you the 8 ways of Dunjia, but if you can't learn it within 3 days, then promise us to participate in the 5 shadow talks in person. Explain things clearly, otherwise we will not be interested in the transaction you just proposed. For this suggestion, Matty was stunned and half rejected. He originally wanted to contribute to the Konoha Ninja Village for these 8 dungeon armor formations. Pity, because the effect is slow, the income is low, and it is also accompanied by huge risks. Some people with ninjutsu talent will not be stupid enough to waste time learning these 8 Dunjia. Therefore, in the huge ninja village, only their father and son are drowning in their hard work. It's just that Matt Dai Wanwan never thought that Uchiha Ryayu would know about the lesser-known 8 gates Dunjia formation. And I still like it. And Matt Dai is the most important, not whether Long Yu can learn it in 3 days. Instead, he was eager to go back and brag to his precious son, and gave others a meal. Blow, my 8-door Dunjia technique. Even Konoha's blood-colored Asura Uchiha Ryayu also took a fancy to. It can be said that this is the pinnacle of life for Meitei, who has been forbearance all his life. It was cool, but it went deep into the core. Jiu-Jia, do you know that this transaction condition, you are completely giving me the Baman Dunjabai. Long Yu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose. If there is no instant full-level system, Long Yu would not dare to accept this bet. However, since Jiu-Jia made such a request, this 8-door Dunjia formation should not be used in vain, and it will also save some speech. Then you agreed to my conditions, don't you think about it? Of these 8 dungeons, even Matty spent most of his life barely opening the 6. Jiu-Jia was stunned for a moment, looking at the smile on Long Yu's face. There was a feeling of being on a pirate ship for no reason. That way, it's like being sold and helping to count the money. Jiu-Jia, don't talk nonsense. If I don't want this old life, the 8 doors will be opened as soon as they are opened. Matty couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Now he is the moment of highlight, and he has waited for a lifetime, but also to show some limelight in front of the genius. We can't let Jiu-Jia lose his style. I know. Jiu-Jia reluctantly replied, looked at Long Yu and said, you should have heard about the 8 gates Dunjia. Now, if you are willing to make a deal, Matt Dai will teach you the 8 gates of Dunjia, but I advise you, even if you have enough ability in the future, don't open the 8th gate, or you will die. Don't worry, I'm still very clear about my abilities. As for the death penalty, I won't do it. Long Yu smiled and patted Jiu-Jia's shoulder and said, however, I still want to thank you in advance for the things you gave away for nothing. Looking at Long Yu with a smile on his face, Jiu-Jia couldn't help but be stunned, and this scene made him even more, the illusion of entering a pit. However, he couldn't bear to think about it anymore. Matt Dai couldn't say anything else, so he took out a record scroll with his backhand and handed it to Long Yu. After spreading it out, he did not forget to guide Long Yu on the main points with great enthusiasm. It can be said that the material of this scroll has been around for a long time, and the edges are still worn, and the dense annotations on it are entirely from the hands of Matt Dai. Beside and even at the end, there are still some encouraging words. Although Matt Dai and his son are the ultimate figures of optimism, I have to say that as long as a person insists on one thing to the end, the world will never fail you. Long Yu, look here, this is the point. And here. As soon as Matt Dai unfolded the scroll, he explained it to Long Yu like a demon. Pointing at any point and link, it is simply unwilling to let go. This scene, even Long Yu's cheeks twitched, not to mention Ji Jia who made a bet. Hey, Maeda, are you crazy? Don't forget the bet. You told him like this, do you think we would lose? Gusuk, do you know what it's like to mentor a genius? I found my heart was beating wildly, and I almost couldn't breathe. No, I'm going to die, I can feel the blood running hot. Ding Dang detected the host and learned the 8-door Dun armor formation, is it immediately? Instantly full. Chapter 205, Uninvited Guest. The clear voice of the system echoed in my mind. Long Yu raised his brows, a little surprised. I thought it would take a few minutes to read, but I didn't expect that because of Matai's explanation, it could be read successfully in a short time. Immediately. Instantly full. Long Yu's thoughts moved, and he gave instructions directly. For outsiders, it takes a long time to strengthen the body and reach the level that can withstand the 8 doors. But for Long Yu, the body that has been changed and optimized in Lei Dun chakra mode for a long time is far beyond what ordinary people can compare. The most important thing now is to see how strong his body is and how many doors he can support. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Ding dang, congratulations to the host, the 8-door armored formation has been successfully fully leveled in an instant. With the sound of the system's ethereal voice, a warm current emerged in Long Yu's mind, and everything about the 8 gates Dunjia formation was imprinted in his mind. Especially all over the body, those meridians belonging to the 8 gates Dunjia formation. Under the sudden surge of Lei Dun chakra, it was quickly cleared and improved. The tenacity of the meridians increased several times in the blink of an eye. Ding dang, it is detected that the host has learned the Konoha fluid technique, is it instantly full? The ethereal voice of the system sounded again. Long Yu raised his brows involuntarily, revealing a look of surprise. However, I soon saw that at the end of the scroll that was spread out on the table, it was obvious that there were still records of taijutsu moves that belonged to Maddie's research, as well as other Konoha fluid techniques. It seems that the system detected these and improved the body to the full level capable of performing Konoha fluid technique. However, according to this change, Long Yu can at most reach the level of Kai in the original work. Open the 7 doors casually, and if you open the 8 doors, you may die. However, all this, Long Yu did not take it to heart. It's not bad to get the 8-door Dunjia by accident, but it's too greedy if you want to get more. Thinking of this, Long Yu thought again and gave an order. Immediately. Full grade. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, the Konoha fluid technique is instantly full level successfully. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, the physique is instantly full level successfully. Along with a series of system prompts, Long Yu's physique has undergone earth-shaking changes again. Dragon Feather. Xiao Nan's voice suddenly sounded. Soon he saw Xiao Nan hurried in. Long Yu regained his senses, frowned slightly and said, it's the itinerary change. Xiao Nan was a little out of breath, soothed it a little, and said, just now, the Anbu of Yurin village urgently notified that there are traces of Konoha rebel Danzo and his subordinates in Wulong Mountain. We will rush to help Yurin village as soon as possible. Anbu, go search Danzo's whereabouts. Group collection. Kosuke's expression changed involuntarily. Defected not long ago, but he was secretly ordered by the 3 generations of Hokage to trace his whereabouts. However, as the root leader of Konoha Ninja Village, Dan hides in the shadows, but he is a cunning rabbit, and it is more difficult to find his whereabouts than to climb to the sky. In the end, the task of tracing the trail was over. It was just that Kosuke never imagined that Danzo's whereabouts would be found in this Yurin village. This is nowhere to be found after stepping through the iron shoes, and it takes no effort to get it. It seems that you have also moved your mind. Why didn't you take a trip together? Long Yu smiled and patted Gu Jia's shoulder. Gu Jia regained his senses, rolled his eyes and said, "You are planning to find a free thug, but I would advise you, don't underestimate Danzo. Kosuke and the 3 generations of Hokage, Sarutobi, and Shimura Danzo are students of the same class. However, due to being too stubborn in the execution of the mission, his companions were killed, and finally because of self-blame, he gave up his promotion and served as a lower end for the rest of his life. At the same time, he also secretly helped the 3 generations of Hokage to perform some special tasks. In terms of nature, it is similar to Jiraiya. If you tell me not to underestimate him, you are underestimating me." Long Yu stood up with a smile and said, "Some old grudges should be over." Accompanied by Long Yu and others moving, in Yurin village, it belongs to the Iron Tower where Sanjiao Yu Hanzo is located. Of the guard is simply inside and outside. 3 layers. The pitch-dark room, apart from Sanjiao Hanzo sitting quietly, there was only the faint sound of breathing. "Master Hanzo, according to the report of the spies, they have all gone to Wushan town. Do we need to leave now?" An Anbu ninja appeared in the secret room like a ghost. "No, have you found the person I asked you to invite?" Sanjiao Yu Hanzo didn't rush out. His closed eyes suddenly opened, and he said in a deep voice, "They want to use our Yurin village to lure Uchiha Ryayu to appear. Then we will take this as an opportunity to catch them all in one go. The kaleidoscope is good at writing round eyes, or reincarnation eye. This will be what I have in my pocket." The dull voice echoed in the room, exuding an unmistakable smell. However, for all of this, the Anbu ninjas of Yunin village have long been surprised. On the contrary, if the Sanjiao Yu Hanzo loses this kind of courage, he will not have his former style. "Hanzo, you are really ambitious, but don't forget my share." A feminine voice came out suddenly. "Who?" Yu Ren Anbu's expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly followed the voice. What caught the eye was a man in a white robe with waist-length white hair. Even his mouth was wrapped in white bandages. This infiltrating gesture like a mummy gave people a feeling of inexplicable chills. "Who are you? Dare to break into the forbidden area of our Yurin village? Where are the people outside? Don't come in quickly." Anbu ninja roared anxiously. As the age of Sanjiao Yu Hanzo grows, and when he passes his peak, his strength has declined, and he is nostalgic for power. In order to avoid the encroachment of the power group, after the activation of a large number of close relatives and confidants, a triple-layered defense was set up inside and out, and a 24-hour rotation defense was carried out. However, now it has been silently infiltrated and came to this place known as the most heavily fortified place in Yurin village. It was too unexpected. "Don't scream, everyone outside was brought down by me," the bandaged man said softly. "However, Hanzo, you are really going back more and more, and you have to arrange so many people to sleep. If I didn't have some means to get by, I'm afraid I really have no way to get in. You are courting death." The unbridled attitude made Yurin Anbu's face sank, and at the same time he slammed coldly. He took out a kunai with his backhand, and jumped to rush up. However, as soon as the footsteps started, they were quickly stopped by the hand of Hanzo. In the dark secret room, the atmosphere was a little depressing. Looking at this uninvited guest in front of him, Yurin Anbu was puzzled, but in the face of Sanjiao Yu Hanzo's order, he retreated. Chapter 206, Too Quiet. "I didn't expect that I sent so many people to look for you, but you couldn't find it. Instead, you came to the door yourself. It seems that the communication scroll you left behind that day is still somewhat useful." Sanjiao Yu Hanzo raised his brows slightly and looked at the bandaged man who seemed to have become even younger. "I haven't seen you for a while. Your methods, even the amount of chakra, have become stronger. It seems that the forbidden technique you have been studying after defecting in Konoha Ninja Village has also achieved success." Lord Hanzo, the person you asked us to find is him. Yu Ninbu Anbu's expression changed slightly. In front of him looked like the sky, and he was also in the 17th or 18th year, and the information given by Sanjiao Yu Hanzo. Compared to men in their early 30s and 3030, the difference is obviously too far. At this moment, he finally knew why Sanjiao Yu Hanzo called the boy in front of him younger. Hee, Hanzo, don't make that communication scroll too important. Bandaged man grinned, cracking the bandage wrapped around his mouth, revealing sharp shark-like teeth. I'm a traitor, Konoha Sanin chased me back then, and you saved my life, but these so-called kindnesses are just a joke. There is only a cooperative relationship between me and you. If you hadn't told me in the subpoena that you want to hunt down people with kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes and reincarnation eyes, I wouldn't come to you. In the face of Kai Guguo's words, Yu Nin Anbu, who was present, showed anger on his face. However, Sancho Fish Hanzo laughed. You are still the same, full of black water, no wonder you like to do these perverted forbidden techniques like Orochimaru. Sanzo Fish Hanzo sneered. However, I prefer to cooperate with people like you. Instead of sharing the writing wheel and reincarnation with so many of them, it is better to cooperate with you, reduce competitors, and get what they need afterward. Why not do it? Bandaged boy heard this, he couldn't help laughing. Haha, Hanzo, you are still the same, but you kindly invite me, and I don't want to bury your good intentions. I will go with you this time. I heard that those guys have blood dragon eyes. I just got a new kind of power. You can try its power first. Oh, it seems that you have achieved a lot during this period of time. I hope you will not use these methods on me until the end, otherwise I don't mind and take your life. Sanzo Fish Hanzo looked interested. But between the words, there are more warnings. Hanzo, don't worry, I don't dare to seek abuse in front of you, a demigod, and all I need is a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye and a reincarnation eye. Bandaged boy laughed dryly and said, however, is there any problem with the backhand you prepared? To minimize the damage, those secret movements are indispensable. HMPH, don't worry, everything has been arranged properly, at the same time I have a new backup, I will definitely make it impossible for them to kill one. As long as they are caught, Uchiha Ryu will be able to appear, and then let him be no matter how strong we are. With Orochimaru and the others taking the lead, we can still reap the benefits of the fishermen. Sanchoyu Hanzo snorted nonchalantly. Accompanied by Sanchoyu Hanzo and the bandaged boy reaching a consensus. The huge ninja world, except for the 5 major ninjas. The alliance that was formed temporarily began to besiege Uchiha Ryu for the first time. A day later, the border of Wulong Mountain. Wearing the black auspicious cloud robe of the Shao organization, Long Yu was mixed in the large army of the Shao organization, looking at the outline of the town that could be seen from a distance. Brows couldn't help but raise the stillness. This place is too quiet. Originally, Wulong Town, in Yurin Village, is also one of the most important places. After the Second Ninja World War, it did enter into decline. However, after a period of recuperation, the town has not recovered as before, and it has gathered some popularity. However, in the middle of the day, in the huge town, there are not even half of the merchants, people, and even ninjas who come and go. This abnormal situation made Long Yu feel a little uncomfortable. Long Yu, did you find something? Xiaonan has been closely following Long Yu's side. According to her own thoughts, it is to find useful information on Long Yu in time, so that the Shao organization can avoid risks as much as possible. However, in the eyes of Yahiko and Nagato, arranging Xiaonan to monitor Long Yu is to minimize the risk Xiaonan encounters in the worst case. It is precisely because of this reason that Long Yu was on the way, but he smelled the fragrance of the beautiful woman and rushed all the way, which is also considered a special beauty and blessing. You didn't realize that it's too quiet here. Long Yu didn't want to say it at first, but looking at Xiaonan's urgent expression, he couldn't help reminding him. Too quiet. Xiaonan was stunned for a moment, then hurriedly looked at the closed, somewhat dilapidated door, and his expression changed. Long Yu, you go alone first, I will remind Yahiko and Nagato. Abandoning these words, Conan rushed towards Yahiko and Nagato who were leading the team in front. Seeing Xiao Nan leaving, Ji Yujia on the side couldn't help but leaned over to Long Yu's side and said with a smile, "Boy, you are not afraid of this reminder, and let the two boys from Xiao's organization win. I have a good intention, but I can't eat and walk around." For this question, there is only one muscle root in the brain. Matte also nodded again and again. In their eyes, facing the so-called gambling contract, they should put themselves in the most favorable position. People like Long Yu who repeatedly released water over and over again subverted their cognition. The princes of Fengwo Opera are also willing to smile for Bobo. I release water, and I can win the beauty back. Why not do it? What's more, don't you think it would be so easy to hide them in a group? Long Yu smiled and patted Ji Yujia's shoulder. You don't even want to pay this, you deserve to be single for the rest of your life. You boy. Kosuke suddenly became angry. However, before he could attack, the mighty 200-strong team of 200 people in front of them stopped first. This time, Sanjiao Yu Hanzo threw out an olive branch and invited them to take over Wulong Town. But to be on the safe side, there is a way out for yourself. Yahiko divided the members of the entire Akatsuki organization into two units. The first echelon followed him to Wulong Town to test the authenticity. The second echelon, after confirming that Wulong Town was safe, pulled out and came to meet again. This robust approach has been unanimously recognized by the Xiao organization. However, in Long Yu's eyes, he could only win a smile. At the moment, Yahiko and Nagato who were leading the team motioned for the troops to stop. Could it be that they also found something wrong? Xiao Nan, you mean, the gate is closed, is there any ambush? Yahiko frowned and looked at the town not far away. In the 5 countries, and even each country. Chapter 207, Departure. Every prosperous town will hire some ninjas from the ninja village, or ninja families to guard. The Wulong town in front of me has entered a period of decline, but it should also try to increase its defense strength. After all, in this chaotic world, self-preservation is the foundation of development. Therefore, in this small town, ninjas were also hired in Yunin village for defense. Yahiko, do you despise our Reinin? The commander of the urinary dark army rushed over not far away, and finally landed on Yahiko's side. The first to speak. Don't forget, your mission is to take over the ninjas of our Urin village and come to guard this town. This is Lord Hanzo, a gift for you to grow your organization. Having said that, the Dark Army commander looked around and said, or, your huge Xiao organization, hundreds of people will be dispatched, and they will be afraid of Danzo like a lost dog. If this is the case, then I think your organization is probably not qualified to guard Wulong Town. The slightly elusive voice made the expressions of everyone in the field change drastically. Among the hundreds of people, he did not shy away from speaking ill of others. If it hadn't been for the Hanzo of Sanjiao Fish, I'm afraid many people in the field would be stunned, they would go back with hot and cold ridicule. It's no surprise that some people are fighting. Nagato heard the words, his expression couldn't help changing, and he said, Lai, you are serious, we just act cautiously. As you said, our Xiao organization dispatched 300 people and 300 people this time, which is enough for an ordinary small ninja village. No matter how cunning Danzang is, it can't make a big wave at all. Facing the contempt of the Dark Army commander, Nagato obviously couldn't take this breath. After all, there is a bet with Long Yu behind him, but it looks like a sharp blade hanging from his head. Now he can't wait to confirm the situation in Wulong Town as soon as possible, block the mouth of the commander of the Dark Army, and at the same time pull back a city in front of Long Yu. Yahiko's expression was stagnant, and he stopped talking, and was stopped by Nagato. He winked, and blocked the words that came to his mouth back into his stomach. Yahiko, we have 300 people here, 300 people, and you and I, no matter what. It's enough to deal with the remnants of Danzo or some unexpected situation. Rather than wasting time here, it's better to lead the team in to check it out. Nagato suggested. Yahiko's expression changed slightly, but in the face of the urgent gaze cast from all around, and the contempt of the Dark Army commander, he nodded in agreement with gritted teeth. Although, Xiaonan got 10,000 taels from Long Yu not long ago, but the task came too suddenly. When it was too late to purchase, most of the people in Xiao's organization had absolutely no idea that a ninja who claimed to be from the land of money had used such a large amount of money to win the smile of beauty. Therefore, now they are still in a situation of starvation and cold, and they are definitely fat and poor in their eyes to be able to take over the task of Wulong Town. At least, they can fill their stomachs. What's more, for Nagato's they obviously got their recognition. After all, in their eyes, no matter how powerful Danzo is, facing 300 of them, it's just one punch. Well then. Yahiko sighed inwardly, cheered up his spirits, and said with a loud voice, "Everyone cheer up, because we don't know what's going on in Wulong Town, so we have to pay attention to our actions. If there is no opinion, then we shall go now." These words fell, the urgency on the faces of everyone in the field became even more intense. "Boy, you don't stop them. It's a good opportunity to win a smile one more time." Kosuke couldn't help but tease, "This is a good opportunity to perform." However, as soon as these sarcastic words fell, Long Yu was stunned. Single dogs are superficial, don't you understand? Also, it's useless after reminding, of course, I'm rushing to stage a hero to save the beauty. Little brother, what you said is really philosophical. I chased Kei's mother like this that day. Matte grinned, revealing his white teeth, and said with a thumbs up, "However, if we have time, let's discuss Bamandungia, there are only 2 days left." Looking at your words and my words, even the thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a muscular head, Matte also gave him a meal. Contempt. Gyugia gnashed his teeth and looked down at his golden left hand. This step on the horse is a calamity. Let's go. After Yahiko rested the team, he shouted again. The voice fell. Nagato rushed out first. The rest of the people, under the condition of starvation and cold, quickly followed. Yahiko stayed in the team. In addition to being behind a distance and supporting Nagato at any time, it was also to ensure more time to respond. "Yahiko, do you really need to be more careful?" Xiaonan couldn't help but said. During the time he spent with Long Yu, the sense of security that went deep into his bones made Xiaonan's reminder to Long Yu as if he was stunned. "Xiaonan, don't be too nervous, Nagato is right, we dispatched 300 people this time, enough to deal with any sudden change." Yahiko frowned and said with a slight displeasure, "What's more, don't forget that there is still a bet between us and Long Yu. Of course, he wants to see us tied up and embarrassed in public." Faced with these remarks, Xiaonan's expression froze, and he explained in a hurry, "But..." However, before she could finish her words, Nagato's voice came. "Yahiko, there are people in this town, they have opened the door and let us in." Nagato fell in front of the town gate. Looking at the door slowly opened and the 3 civilians walking out, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "My lord, it's good for you to come." Who took the lead glanced left and right with a tense expression, and said, "That group of bad guys just left, but the adults of Urin village were also seriously injured, you hurry up and save them." Speaking, the middle-aged man stepped aside and opened the door at the same time. Looking in, the first thing that caught the eye was some wounded ninjas and ordinary people, leaning on both sides of the road at the entrance. It is roughly estimated that there are at least 40 or 50 people. "Nagato, what's going on?" Yahiko fell on Nagato's side and was startled at first when he saw the situation inside, and then secretly heaved a sigh of relief. These people were injured a lot, but as long as there was someone, in Yahiko's eyes, then it was not the trap they suspected. "My lords, come in quickly, or wait a while for those rebels to attack again," the middle-aged man hurriedly persuaded. not forgetting to look outside with a pair of eyes to inquire. Okay, everyone go to town. Yahiko breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly called everyone into the city. Of the Akatsuki organization, who had thought that a death battle would be inevitable, relaxed slightly and quickly followed. At the last Nagato, he looked back and said, Long Yu, you should have seen these civilians too. Chapter 208. Enemy Attack. Their existence shows that your guess is wrong. Once we enter Wushan Town, we will quickly start to rest and adapt, and use this as a new stronghold for Xiao's organization. At that time, facing all forces, we will definitely be able to. It's called the impregnable soup. Having said that, Nagato stared straight at Long Yu and said, Do you have anything else to say? Be careful, don't capsize in the gutter. Long Yu smiled warmly. You. Nagato suddenly became angry. Watching Xiaonan approaching, he gritted his teeth and turned to leave. I'm sorry Yu, Nagato is all organized for Akatsuki. After all, Wushan Town is too important to us. Xiaonan obviously saw the farce just now, and said apologetically, I hope you don't take offense. Is there really no problem here? Xiaonan couldn't help but looked around, looking at this unusually quiet town, but he couldn't hold back his breath. So what if there is a problem? So what if there is no problem? Long Yu smiled and patted Xiaonan on the shoulder. They have already made up their minds, and now they have nothing to say. I advise you to wake up. The inexplicable words made Xiaonan startled, and when she stopped talking, she saw that all the members of Xiao's organization had entered the town. Yahiko, who was standing in front of the gate, beckoned to them. Let's go, it's a blessing or a curse, but there may be some unexpected surprises. Long Yu said with a smile. However, as soon as the pace started, he turned his head to take a look, and the scarlet blood flashed across his pupils, looking very strange. Long Yu, are you all right? Xiaonan's expression was stagnant, and the situation was unknown at the moment. For her, any disturbance made her feel like a bird in shock. It's okay, let's go. Long Yu smiled and strode into the town. This inexplicable scene made Xiaonan startled for a moment, but after hesitating for a moment, he quickly followed. Long Yu, have you seen these wounded people? They soon accepted our Xiao organization. The treatment is on the right track, and many villagers said they would go back and prepare food for us. Yahiko closed the heavy door and said excitedly. This is not as dangerous as you imagined. Look at how eager those villagers look. Seeing the middle-aged man who had opened the door, with an undisguised excited smile on his face, stumbling forward, Yahiko couldn't hold his breath. He had the courage to bet against Long Yu, and that was to fight for one breath. Hand over the Akatsuki organization, which was created after spending countless hard work and energy. This is not the courage to do it. Caught, I have caught him. The inexplicable voice that came out suddenly made Yahiko's expression suddenly stagnate. No, it should be said that the members of the Akatsuki organization present, and even Ji Yujia, Xiaonan, and others couldn't help but stunned. They came to rescue Wushan Town, and these people should have said something and said thank you. Now suddenly speaking, this kind of strange, makes people tense. Especially Yahiko, looking at the clothes, grabbed his arm. The average man looked around like crazy, and then shouted. I caught the man in the portrait, my wife and children are saved. You said that as long as I caught them, I would let my relatives go. As soon as these words came out, those members of the Akatsuki organization who had helped with the treatment were also arrested. Man caught the arm. Were originally wounded also gave people a feeling of returning to the light. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves, and it made people smell an unusual smell. Originally believed in it and thought that he would be able to mingle in a moment, was stunned. Feeling the huge strength from that arm, just as Yahiko was about to break free, a voice floated behind him, almost breaking his nerves. Ha ha, I originally thought the leader of the Xiao organization was a great guy, but he turned out to be a mere brat. The unpredictable voice came out. It was like thunder, completely alarming everyone in the arena. Yahiko and Nagato hurriedly followed the voice, and what they saw was a pair of blood moon-like eyes. That scarlet light, like blood, seeps into people, making people feel chills down their spines. Facing this thin body but a ferocious uninvited guest in front of him, Yahiko took the lead and couldn't hold back his breath, and shouted in a hurry, "Enemy attack, hurry up and retreat. It's too late, the moment you are caught, you are already doomed to lose." The skinny Shui Lan let out a dry laugh. A pair of blood moon-like eyes, the bloody light that bloomed became more and more dazzling, and the next moment he roared fiercely. "Blast me!" The simple 3 words came out in a hurry, resounding between heaven and earth like thunder. Everyone present was stunned at first, and soon they saw the ordinary civilians who had caught themselves, perhaps not far from them, at the moment when the voice fell. The whole body inflated quickly like a balloon. The terrified expression was matched with the prominent blue veins. The terrifying aura that permeated the air rolled back like a frenzy, giving people a feeling of inexplicable horror. The next moment, before they could react, a series of shocking explosions suddenly ripped apart the world. Boom! The blood-colored explosion wave was like a frenzy rolling backwards. The huge impact force, and the power to convert blood into it, is even more reeling in a 10,000 stance. An instant, the members of the Akatsuki organization who were just a little closer were caught off guard, and there was no way to hide. Only thing he can do is to watch the blood light devour himself directly. Don't. Yahiko's pupils shrank suddenly. However, looking at the middle-aged man who had also become a human bomb in front of him, before he could say anything more, the sound of a booming explosion also sounded in his ears. Boom! A thunderous explosion resounded. At the same time as the blood shone into the sky, the violent explosion hurricane quickly rolled back around. The huge impact force directly overturned the ground, and the silhouettes were swallowed up by the explosion in an instant. The violent scene made Nagato, who was in the midst of the explosion, startled for a while, and then he roared in grief and indignation when he saw that Yahiko was also caught in the explosion. Vientian Tianian. Nagato's right hand grabbed from the air, and the invisible pulling force instantly enveloped Yahiko in the explosion. The next moment, the 5 fingers were suddenly clenched, and a bloody figure was directly pulled out. Looking at Yahiko, who was directly blown into a bloody mess, Nagato was stunned. In front of him completely subverted his cognition. As the second largest force in Urin village, hundreds of people jointly carry out a mission, and it is also matched with his reincarnation eye. Chapter 209, The plan failed. Of this mission should be guaranteed. However, imagination is plump and reality is skinny. Recalling not long ago, the reminder from Uchiha Ryu made him look around quickly as if stunned. "Where are you? Come and save us. I admit defeat, you hurry up and save us." A hysterical roar echoed in the ruins. Fell to the ground helplessly, holding Yahiko's bloody corpse in his arms. Of human explosions all around was still incessant. On the contrary, Nagato's roar became pale and powerless. "Ha, I thought that in the ninja world, the budding organization Akatsuki had something extraordinary, but it turned out to be just a paper tiger." Shui Lan's figure swayed, like a ghost, and appeared in front of Nagato one step ahead. When he came, Shui Lan was the top priority, and he was repeatedly asked to treat every link with caution. Originally, Shui Lan was still holding 12 points of spirit, and she never thought of thinking of the 2 leaders of the Shao organization. It was simply too stupid and naive. A single human bomb will directly kill them. Nagato, who was close at hand, as if he had fallen into madness, the pair of reincarnation eyes that made him dream, couldn't help but reach out and capture it. As long as you get this pair of legendary eyes, coupled with the strength of the Blood Pool clan, Shui Lan firmly believes that it will be able to destroy Yunren village and seek revenge for the great name who banished their clan. Thinking of this, the urgency in Shui Lan's heart became even more intense. However, the moment the right hand reached out and caught it with the Samsara eye, the sight of entering the target was lost. No, it should be said that the Nagato in front of him, like an illusion, was directly passed through by his hand. This strange scene, even Nagato couldn't help but froze in place. At this moment, Nagato's mind only had time to emerge, that figure that seemed to evaporate out of thin air. Only he can do things that cannot be figured out with common sense in this kind of killing situation. Shui Lan, what are you in a daze? Hurry up and cast the blood dragon eye. Shui Lan, hurry up and dodge, otherwise you will only have a dead end. Why didn't the human bomb explode? The hysterical shouting sounded one after another. Falling in Shui Lan's ear made his nerves suddenly tremble. Looking around in a hurry, all the pictures in my sight, like paper paste, changed rapidly. And, along with a crisp cracking sound, the world in front of me quickly collapsed and cracked open inch by inch. Once again, the scene of Kingming was restored, and what was the purpose of it? Grabbing the arm, the human bomb that had not yet had time to explode. There is also a figure that quickly enlarges in the pupil like a ghost. The lightning knife that was flowing with cold light danced with a knife in his hand. The crackling thunder sounded crisply, sending it down his throat. Don't! Shui Lan suddenly woke up, only to let out a scream. The next moment, the huge head, in full view of the public, was thrown into the air with blood splattering. In the end, it hit the ground hard, and a shocking blood flower bloomed. Bang! The surviving corpse, at the mouth of the broken neck, frantically poured out blood, and after losing the support of the body, it went straight to the ground. This seemingly tedious and strange scene is just a few short breaths between before and after, until all the dust settles. Long Yu put away the thunder knife with his backhand, and he just reacted in the illusion. Crowd looked at each other completely. No, it should be said that they were still immersed in the despair of death and were completely rescued. In the explosion just now, more than 300 of them were directly blown to pieces. The result now is not just a trip to the gate of hell, but a feeling of being resurrected from the dead. Patriarch! A low, urgent cry came. 7 or 8, the clansmen who hurriedly rushed to the ground, also wearing blood dragon eyes, looked at Shui Lan who fell to the ground with disbelief on their faces. Appearing on the side, there are Danzo, Sanzang Yu Hanzo, and Orochimaru shrouded in black robes. When they saw the dead body that couldn't die any longer, with a pale face, it was enough to show that their plan had failed. However, in this critical situation, they looked more urgently at the person who killed Shui Lan. Through the face mask, the pair of scarlet blood-like eyes and the 9 rotating hook jades exuded an inexplicable and fascinating feeling. You dare to kill our patriarch, you are simply courting death. The burly and leading blood dragon eye clansman roared up to the sky, and a pair of blood moon-like eyes rolled wildly. The next moment, the corpse that originally belonged to Shui Lan and fell to the ground was squeezed dry in an instant. Scarlet blood flew out, and in full view, turned into a blood dragon. Accompanied by an awe-inspiring roar, the blood dragon of more than 10 meters suddenly swayed down and attacked towards Long Yu. Don't mess around. A scream came from a distance. The blood pool clansmen in the field were stunned at first, and then they saw that Long Yu took a simple fire escape seal in his hand. The art of fire escape, how fireball. The fiery chakra spewed out like a frenzy, and in the blink of an eye, it gathered into a fireball with a diameter of tens of meters, and collided with the blood dragon head-on with a rolling posture. Boom! The fire burst, and the blood dragon was like paper paste, instantly evaporated by the high-temperature flame. The Blood Pool clan people reacted, the huge fireball, Yue unabated and quickly enlarged in their pupils. With the explosion of fire, they were directly engulfed in an instant. Water escape water dragon ball technique. The young man who came in a hurry, a trace of madness flashed on his face, his hands flew down quickly, forming a series of magic marks. The rainwater that had been scattered all the year round, under the traction, quickly gathered into a huge water dragon of more than 10 meters, and went straight into the sea of fire. Boom! The water splashed into the sky, and the backward waves suppressed the flames a little. However, in the face of this huge fireball with a diameter of tens of meters alone, the sea of fire caused by it. These water dragon bullets are obviously pale and weak. Crimson flames everywhere, and the burning fire was only slightly stagnant. The next moment, the water vapor brought by the water dragon bomb was directly evaporated. Such an astonishing scene completely subverted their understanding of Chakra's 5 elements. Just like that sentence, fire is so powerful that even water can't do anything. No way, Qianyu, you can't die. The young man growled frantically. The hands that flew quickly, like wheels, took on a series of spells. A water dragon, like no money, smashed into the sea of fire frantically. However, in the face of such madness, it is necessary to extinguish a flamboyant fireball technique that Long Yu casually threw. Chapter 210, We Meet Again. It also took 2 or 3 minutes. After the last bit of flame was annihilated in the water, apart from the smell of burning, there was not even a half corpse left in the air. Such a fierce power, seeing the organization, the surviving people couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Looking at Uchiha Ryu's eyes, they were full of fear and awe, and some people couldn't help but take a half step back. As for those human flesh bombs who had a crazy mentality at first, they fell to the ground in fright, and tumbled and fled around. At this moment, what saves his wife and children? In front of Xiaoming, everything is a cloud. Their eyes, the blood pool clan that made them terrified, under such attacks, they didn't even have the strength to struggle, and they turned into flying ashes. Not to mention, they are ordinary people. Hey Ju, didn't you say that this blood dragon eye can fight against the writing wheel eye? It's not clear why he died when he played. Danzo's face was gloomy, and he couldn't hold his breath at all. In their plan, they first lured members of the Shao organization to Wushan town with the order of Sanjiao Hanzhou. Then, let Shui Lan, the patriarch of the Blood Pond clan, cast an illusion on the name of the village, so that the blood in the container boils completely because of the illusion, and becomes full of explosive aggressiveness. As long as the villagers lured Yahiko and Nagato and other members of the Akatsuki organization, they successfully entered the town. Let those body bombs catch the members of Akatsuki except Nagato by surprise, including Yahiko and Konan. However, this seemingly smooth plan, after the success of a number of human bombs. When Shui Lan appeared on the stage, the whole person seemed to be in a daze, standing in the same place and shouting and giggling. This sudden scene shocked Danzo and the others, and after hurriedly reminding them to no avail, they all pulled away from him. When they reacted, it was discovered that Xiaonan, who was originally planned to use Xiaonan in Xiao's organization, was mixed into Xiao's organization as bait to lure Long Yu. I didn't expect that in the world of ninjas, the blood dragon eye, which is comparable to the Uchiha clan's Sharingan, would be unknowingly affected by an illusion. Black Ju's voice came from within Danzo's shadow. It was soon able to be seen that the shadow was splitting from it in full view. With a yin and yang face was squeezed out of it. However, compared to Danzo and the others, the look on his face at the moment was equally unsightly. Facing the last time, Madara Uchiha and Long Yu fought against each other in just a few short months. But the young man in front of him gave Heiju the feeling that the speed of progress was simply able to use God. No, this kind of speed, even to describe it as a god is an insult. It can be said that all this can no longer be described in words. This made Heiju worried that over time, even the gods in front of him had been sighing to himself for many years, and even his old mother could not fight against it. Heiju, we meet again. Long Yu took off his mask, looked at Orochimaru not far away, and said, originally, I planned to spend some effort to find you all, but if I thought of it, I sent it to my door. Last time, when I killed Madara Uchiha, I let you run away with your tail tucked. I didn't expect you to gather all the people I want together. Having said that, Long Yu looked at Heiju again, and smiled genially. You said, should I kill you first, or it would be better to thank you. The small voice swept the audience like a hurricane at this moment. Beside Heiju suddenly changed drastically. No, it should be said that there is a trace of whiteness in the ashen. For them, the result in front of them was too shocking. Uchiha Madara is still alive. Danzo grabbed Heiju's shoulder and shouted coldly, "Heiju, why are you hiding from us? Madara Uchiha was killed by this kid." For these older ninjas, even the so-called demigod Sanshoyu Hanzo is facing the omniscient Uchiha Madara. He can only act as a little brother. It can be said that in the chaotic era of the Warring States period, Madara Uchiha, the legendary Uchiha, and the god of the ninja world Senjujuma. But the big mountain pressing on the heart of every ninja. Those who have experienced, or seen with their own eyes, Madara Uchiha's fighting style can feel breathless in retrospect. However, now someone told them that even the so-called legendary ninja was beheaded by a hairy boy not long ago. This amount of information is too large. If they had known this result earlier, they would definitely have weighed one or two in the face of the temptation of samsara and kaleidoscope. No, don't get me wrong. Feeling the almost murderous gaze around him, a trace of panic appeared on Heiju's face. In the original work, Heiju was not good at fighting, and was regarded as an auxiliary form. Okay to let him run away, if he wants to fight, many people can beat him completely. Seeing Danzo and the others who were about to turn their faces, Heiju explained in a hurry, he did kill Uchiha Madara, but Madara at that time was already old and weak, and there was no way to express the power of his heyday. According to my calculations, Madara's strength at that time was only 1 or 2/10 of its heyday. Just think about it, even the first Hokage Senju has no way to survive. Madara Uchiha was severely wounded and beheaded in the Valley of the End, and it's not bad to be able to recover a small life, not to mention living 100 years old and still alive. To be able to maintain the strength of the heyday, when he was already a twilight old man. Speaking of which, Heiju quickly raised 3 fingers and said anxiously, if you don't believe me, I can swear that Madara Uchiha was indeed beheaded by that kid at that time, but Madara who was killed at that time was just an old man. An roar echoed in the sky and the earth, causing many people to look at each other on the huge battlefield. The huge battlefield fell into an inexplicable silence. In the face of Heiju, that spit star spewed wildly, and raised a finger to swear. When everyone hesitated, it was obvious that they were unsure. Okay, you still don't believe me. Originally, I planned to hide this thing for the last time, but now I can only take it out in advance. Heiju's expression changed one after another. He gritted his teeth, took out a scroll with his backhand, and handed it to Orochimaru. The sudden scene shocked everyone present. However, Orochimaru seemed to see a rare treasure, and his eyes could not help brightening. Is this the cell specimen from Uchiha Madara you promised me? Orochimaru quickly took the scroll, and with his scarlet tongue, he licked the slightly dry red lips, and there was a hint of frenzy on his face. It can be said that this time Orochimaru was involved in this mission, except for the purpose of obtaining the improved Mudunli specimen in Heiju's hands. In addition to being known as the god of the ninja world, the first generation of Hokage Senju is also known as the highest Uchiha legend, Uchiha Madara's cell sequence specimen. Chapter 211, The Art of Reincarnation of Dirty Earth. In the eyes of Orochimaru, as long as the two legends are gathered together, and the modified Mudun cell sequence is implanted, who have been reincarnated from the filth can be infinitely close to their former strength, and at the same time they cannot easily break free from their control. It can be said that Kurohue handed over Uchiha Madara's column specimens to him so easily, completely beyond his expectations. HMPH, don't you know how to turn around? As long as you summon Uchiha Madara, you will know if what I said is true. Heiju let out a cold snort. However, I advise you, don't underestimate Madara Uchiha's strength, and be careful to break free from your control. The face of this kind reminder, Orochimaru obviously left it behind, staring at the scroll in his hand with a frenzy on his face, and his right hand did not forget to caress the surface of the scroll. With the crisp roar of the air, the scrolls exploded, and soon you could see Baiju, whose intelligence had been wiped away, lying quietly on the ground like a salted fish. This sudden scene made many people in the field look stunned. subconsciously glanced at the other half of Heiju, and even Xiao Nan, who was standing beside Long Yu with a nervous face, couldn't help but ask weakly, Long Yu, he won't cut himself in half, right? However, this doesn't seem right. If it is cut in half, what is the other black half? Is it his son? Hearing these words, Long Yu almost couldn't hold back his laughter. Heiju's face was even darker, and he cast a murderous look. If it weren't for Uchiha Ryayu, I'm afraid that Xiao Nan, who is as sweet and silly, would have been torn apart by his own hands. After giving Xiao Nan a vicious look, Heiju suddenly looked at Orochimaru and said, originally, I planned to use this thing while dealing with that kid, but I didn't expect him to come uninvited. Now, with your ability, you should be able to summon them and kill him completely. Faced with these words, Danzo and Sanshoyu Hanzo couldn't help but look at Orochimaru. Two were obviously interested in Heiju's high hopes and the confidence that he would be able to kill Long Yu. After all, if you can use a little less energy to solve things, why not do it? Don't worry, with the wooden dungeon specimen you provided, my control over the reincarnation of the dirty soil has doubled. Orochimaru regained his senses in the frenzy. After licking his red lips, he looked at Long Yu and said, if he comes as an opponent, it is indeed worth me to use them. While speaking, Orochimaru also took out another scroll with his backhand. Along with the white mist, another sacrifice that was sealed in the scroll by him was also summoned. Seeing this strange scene, Xiaonan and the others couldn't help but stagnate, and Yahiko couldn't help but hurry to Long Yu's side, and hurriedly asked, Long Yu, thank you for saving us just now. However, this is a trap. When I met Orochimaru for the first time, we discovered that his mind was not right, and now he suddenly has to use human sacrifices. I'm afraid it won't matter. Regarding this statement, Nagato, who had been trapped in the middle of the night after withdrawing from the illusion, also showed an urgent expression on his face. After all, he caused the situation in front of him. Long Yu came to the rescue, and they were already grateful, if they were killed because of them. This is definitely not what they want to see. Hehe, don't worry, Orochimaru's methods are three-pronged. Long Yu laughed dryly and said, apart from immortality reincarnation, it is reincarnation from filth. If I guessed correctly, you are planning to summon Madara Uchiha and come out with the first Hokage to deal with me. Originally, I still didn't have much interest, but I just learned something recently. Ordinary people can't practice with me. They act as sandbags, which should be pretty good. The slightly obscene voice and the ridicule between the lines made Orochimaru's cheeks twitch. In his eyes, there were two great ninja legends born from the reincarnation of dirty soil, and that was an awesome thing. Once it is broken, it should be shocking, the audience will be shocked and exclaimed, fear surging and other emotions will create the atmosphere. It can be said that if you can't scare one or two people to death, Orochimaru has spent so much effort in collecting and reincarnating the improved dirty soil. However, now this scene that was supposed to be awesome, turned into Long Yu's mouth, so pale and careless. It just gives the feeling of a passerby. Don't hurry up, I'll be thankful for the flowers. Looking at Orochimaru, who was about to kill by sight alone, Long Yu raised his brows and urged, if you can't do it, then let me do it. The small voice, like thunder, exploded in the minds of Orochimaru and the others. Long Yu's pair of 9-hooked jade writing wheel eyes turned in vain, the blood was like a tide, and the space quickly distorted. That were originally placed not far from Orochimaru disappeared directly in front of everyone's eyes as if they were swallowed by a vortex. Waiting to react, he has already appeared in front of Long Yu. This is space ninjutsu. Orochimaru was stunned at first, and then he exclaimed, hurry up, stop him quickly, that guy will also use the technique of reincarnation. The sudden exclamation made Danzo and others stunned. Could summon two powerful legends to kill Uchiha Long Yu. Never occurred to me that all I did was to make wedding dresses for others. If you let Uchiha Ryayu summon Uchiha Madara and the first Hokage, then they are playing a bird. Orochimaru's voiceless exclamation made the nerves of everyone in the field suddenly tense. For Uchiha Ryayu, he suddenly snatched two filthy reincarnation offerings. Orochimaru is not sure whether Long Yu knows the art of reincarnation from dirty soil. However, the rumored learning talent that was astonishing, and the reincarnation scroll he carried with him during the battle that day did fall into Long Yu's hands. This added up, obviously tightening Orochimaru's nerves, making it like a bird in shock. However, in this violent situation, the people present had no time to react. Long Yu's hands that were flying like wheels formed a series of magic seals in front of everyone's eyes. When Orochimaru's words dissipated, Long Yu suddenly put his hands together. The art of reincarnation of dirty soil. Boom! There was a roar on the ground, and the mysterious magic spell quickly spread around like a spider web. The next moment, it directly covered the bodies of the two sacrifices. Accompanied by the terrifying muscle squirming of the sacrifice, it suddenly collapsed in the eyes of everyone's astonishment. Chapter 212, Uchiha Madara's Strength. Like clay, it quickly reorganized, and in a blink of an eye, two divine horses were formed. A pair of filthy earth reincarnated, with unique dark eyes, exuding a terrifying aura. Yes, it is really the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, and the legend of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Madara. No one in the audience screamed in surprise. Looking at the two figures that suddenly appeared, my nerves were shaken. S' expression also changed slightly. As a disciple of the first Hokage and the second Hokage, he knew clearly what kind of weight these two people represented. Originally, a Uchiha Ryayu was enough for them to deal with it. Not to mention, two more ninja legends have emerged now. How did you fight this horse? Orochimaru, is this your masterpiece again? I should have stopped Tobirama early that day, and developed this forbidden technique that makes the dead restless. The first Hokage turned his eyes in vain and landed on Orochimaru, saying, however, there is no way, this time, who did you ask me to kill? However, before the first Hokage erupted, Madara Uchiha's voice made him stunned for a moment. Hashiyama, you are still the same, you are naturally stunned, let these juniors manipulate at will, don't you think that you have lost your reputation? Voice fell, and a huge wave of chakra exploded on Uchiha Madara's body instantly, and the rolled-up air wave rolled back in a rolling posture. Facing this sudden outburst, everyone's expressions changed drastically. Even the so-called demigods Sanjiu Hanzo and Orochimaru couldn't help but take a half step back. However, in the face of this scene, Danzo's expression changed, and he said in a deep voice, Uchiha Madara, the person who summoned you is Uchiha Ryayu behind you. I heard that he killed you with his own hands not long ago. Danzo knows exactly what the flaws in reincarnation are. Once the person being controlled exceeds the strength of the person who controls, the reincarnation of the dirt will be forced to get rid of. Right now, Uchiha Longyu, but threatened to kill Uchiha Madara. If all this is true, Danzo believes that with Madara Uchiha's strength alone, he will break free from this filth and reincarnate and attack Uchiha Ryayu violently. Once that time comes, even Madara Uchiha can't be used by them. It can also deal with the first Hokage Senju Hashirama. However, this idea just sprouted in Danzo's mind, and the next moment, a figure like a ghost appeared in front of him like a ghost. At the moment when the one-handed seal was formed, the fiery chakra rushed out like a frenzy. The fire escapes the fire and extinguishes it. The flames in the sky turned into a hurricane. He devoured the confused Danzo head-on. A rolling posture, it rolled backwards around. Orochimaru and others who were present were stunned for a moment. They didn't have time to think about it, they even pulled away and quickly retreated. Escaping dozens of meters away, feeling that the sea of blazing fire was not approaching, he stopped and followed Danzo's trail. However, what came into view was a sea of blazing fires. Is this the strength of Uchiha Madara, able to perform fire escape ninjutsu in no way inferior to Uchiha Longyu? Orochimaru said with a livid face. When I thought about it, this trump card that belonged to me turned out to be a wedding dress for others. That heart hurts. Shut up, you want to die, but I don't want to die. Black Jew yelled angrily. He has gotten along with Madara Uchiha, and of course he knows his arrogant character. Now Orochimaru even compares Uchiha Madara with Ryu. This is a self-destruction. However, as soon as these words fell, Madara Uchiha suddenly turned to look at the two of them. The hands flipped, the magic seal formed, and the fiery flames that burst out, forming a huge fireball like a meteorite outside the sky. Fire escape and the fire is gone. Of tens of meters was only shortened in the blink of an eye. The bursting flames directly devoured Orochimaru and buildings with a radius of hundreds of meters, turning everything into an endless sea of fire. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. Standing not far away, Yahiko, Nagato and others couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Watching Madara Uchiha move his hands and feet, and use the mediocre fire escape ninjutsu to display the power of high-level ninjutsu. If they were to face each other, it would be a dead end. Thought that not long ago, Uchiha Longyu killed such a terrifying existence. If they hadn't heard about it, they would never have believed it. Spot, don't be impulsive. Senju Hakuma appeared beside Uchiha Madara like a ghost, and put her hand on his shoulder. Before the matter is clear, don't mess around. Besides, we were summoned, but we were not forced to do anything. For the time being, we don't have to try to break free from the art of reincarnation. The last time I was summoned by Orochimaru, because Orochimaru has not mastered the deeper level of wood chakra, and the optimization of reincarnation. Therefore, at that time, the strength of Chinchujuma was only 1/10 of 2/10. Compared with the current state, it was far worse. Moreover, Longyu summoned them out, but he did not have the means to strengthen the control of Orochimaru's spells. To break free from this filthy soil and reincarnate, as long as you know the order of the seals, it is not a problem. Hehe, the first Hokage-sama is right. I didn't order you to do it. It's just that they came out of their mouths and brought the disaster of death. Longyu gave a dry laugh, touched the tip of his nose and said, sometimes, being a human being has to learn to tell some white lies. Ban, do you think I'm right? The small voice tensed everyone's nerves at this moment. For many people, this almost heaven-defying filthy earth reincarnation technique was able to channel two ninja world legends, which is already shocking to the world. However, now Longyu not only has no fear in the slightest, but is relatively indifferent, which is too bold for a talented person. Boy, you are courting death. Madara Uchiha roared. The violent chakra detonated in his body again. A step, the instant body technique was brought into full play and appeared directly in front of Longyu. Hands to form a series of jutsu seals, intending to kill Uchiha Longyu under fire ninjutsu in an instant. The fire escapes the fire and extinguishes it. The awe-inspiring roar exploded like thunder, and fiery flames gushed out. Boom! The flames from the sky burst out, turning into a sea of fire, which instantly devoured Uchiha Longyu directly. The tyrannical method was even worse than before, which was enough to show how deep his hatred for Uchiha Ryu was. However, before Uchiha Madara could react, an invisible huge gravity fell from the sky without warning. The huge impact force, in this unexpected situation, directly smashed him to the ground. Chapter 213, Thousands of Hands Are Ruthless. A piece of dust stirred up, and the cracked ground was even more shocking. After that dirty soil was reincarnated, the body constructed of dust and soil also showed traces of cracks like spider webs. However, before Uchiha Madara could react, the jet-black flame burned directly on Madara's body. Amaterasu. The indifferent voice gave people a feeling of death. The instant the black flames were generated, the body of the dirt that was reincarnated into by the reincarnation of the dirt quickly burned. Longyu once had a conjecture that the second Hokage used the technique of detonating talismans to deal with the reincarnation of the dirty earth. With the help of the continuous explosion between the charms, a large number of detonating charms are summoned. In an instant, multiple explosions at a fixed point, using saturation attacks, surpassing the recovery ability of the reincarnation of the dirty earth, may be able to directly disintegrate this undead body. In the original book, when Uchiha Itachi and Nagato, who was reincarnated with dirty soil, played Amaterasu. If Nagato hadn't used the Shinra Heavenly Conquest and bounced off the black flames on his body, he would have already been restrained by Amaterasu. However, as soon as the flames rose, Madara Uchiha immediately. Vibrant light blue pupil power. With Susanoo's unfolding, he directly separated the black flames on his body. Originally embarrassed, the torn and burned body turned into ashes and quickly built up. All the gravity on his body was carried by Susanoo. At the same time, Long Yu, who was bathed in the sea of fire, was also wrapped in scarlet blood like Susanoo, and a pair of blood moon-like nine-hook jade kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes gave people a chilling look. Taste. Madara Uchiha, who witnessed this scene, instantly distorted her expression and roared in resentment. "You bastard, challenge my majesty of Madara Uchiha over and over again, and I will let you die without a place to die, just like those two guys." However, this time, before he could make another move, a tree root like a horned dragon pierced through the ground in an instant, directly entangling Madara's body. "Madara, you are still the same, as always, with the same impulse, to figure things out first," Senju Hashirama hurriedly persuaded. As Madara Uchiha's old rival, Senju Hashimura clearly knows how to deal with this Susanoo. The original Hokage is right. Long Yu laughed dryly. "If I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time. What's more, your attack just now seems to be very fierce, but if you feel it carefully, those two little guys have 10 lives and will not die easily." Listening to these slightly joking voices, Danzo and Orochimaru, who were hiding in the dark, were about to greet the 18th generation of Long Yu's ancestors. One, who was planning to sow discord, was set on fire. The other one, originally planned to summon a cowardly guy to be his trump card. Who knew that the misfortune came out of the mouth and was almost killed. "If it wasn't a great way to escape, I would have to get a lunchbox now, and I wouldn't have a chance to show up in the next chapter." Looking for death. Madara Uchiha's expression was stagnant, and a pair of kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes turned in vain, and instantly locked on the building not far away. "Lord Madara, don't be impulsive. This time we have formed an alliance with Danzo, Orochimaru and Sanshoyu Hanzo to eradicate this hateful boy. Black must have come out of the ground. Now, he still bears the identity of Madara Uchiha's will. It is obviously a bit persuasive in this kind of situation where it is inconvenient to kill someone. Danzo and Orochimaru have collaborated." The first Hokage couldn't help but stagnate, looking at Danzo who walked out behind the big tree, frowned and said, "I remember that when you were a child, I also personally instructed, and later because of good talent, I joined the team led by Tobirama, and it's just right for the monkeys to be together. Why did they get mixed up with the betrayal and forbearance Orochimaru?" The sudden question made Danzo's nerves tense. Madara Uchiha's violent attack has already made him walk before the gate of hell. He didn't want to face the first Hokage who was said to be the one who overpowered Madara Uchiha. Hehe, you don't understand why he became a rebel, and why he was able to survive the attack just now. Long Yu laughed dryly and said, "Look at his right hand, it will be clear." The small voice made Danzo's nerves tense, and he quickly covered the bandage on his arm. The face of Madara Uchiha's fierce and unparalleled fire escape. Danzo was at a critical moment and performed a Zanagi, turning everything into an illusion, and was able to recover a small life. If Madara Uchiha, who has always been a strong defender of the short, sees it, I am afraid that the 6 or 7 lives on this arm will not be able to be saved. Sir Madara, calm down, don't be impulsive, he is now our ally against Uchiha Ryu. Heiju was sweating hotly on his forehead, like ants on a hot pot. Now he can't wait to kick Orochimaru to death. Out Madara Uchiha's trump card and show it off here, so that Long Yu can take advantage of it. Just smashed a good hand. Now that he is absolutely black, I can only pray for Madara Uchiha to calm down and listen to what he has to say. It's the arm transplanted with the cells between the columns, and there are many writing wheel eyes. It seems that this method has something to do with Orochimaru. Madara Uchiha was not impulsive this time. Living in the ninja world for almost 100 years, and even giving birth secretly, he also knows the situation of the ninja world like the back of the back. In particular, the Konoha ninja village that he built with Chinchujuma, he knew exactly what talents came out, who defected, and why he defected. Hee, Madam Madara, you really exalted me, but the cells of the original Hokage-sama are indeed very domineering. Most of the human body research materials over the years are unbearable, and they died directly. Only a few people survived. Orochimaru walked out in the dark, licked his dry lips and said with a feminine smile. In the face of the praise from the legendary Uchiha Madara of the Uchiha family, it is still very useful for a genius like Orochimaru. Just that this smile was just born, and the next moment it stiffened. You bastard, dare to use my cells to harm people. The thorn in the wood of the wood. Chinchozuma, who had been persuading him all the time, suddenly moved. When his hands suddenly clasped together, a roar rang out from the ground, and one after another tree thorns, like spears, directly penetrated Orochimaru's body. Blood splashed, and a shocking blood flower bloomed, causing everyone's pupils to shrink suddenly. Many people present did not at all expect that there would also be a violent scene in the Chinchujujian. Ahem, the first Hokage, you should save your energy. If you say who is the most difficult to kill in this ninja world, this stinky snake claims to be second, and I am afraid no one dares to call it first. Long Yu touched the tip of his nose and said. Chapter 214, Arrogant. Soon, he saw Orochimaru stabbed like a sieve, his body twitched slightly, under the eyes of everyone who was almost nauseated. As white as snow protruded directly from the throat to the mouth. He clenched his teeth up and down with both hands, and suddenly exerted force, tearing his mouth apart in full view of the public, and drilled out a body that was covered in saliva and slid to the ground like a boneless body. Such a horrific operation is simply outrageous. Yuck. The sound of retching came from among the members of the Akatsuki organization not far away. Facing this kind of scene, even Xiaonan couldn't help hugging his slightly trembling arms. Is this the monkey's apprentice? It's fucking disgusting. Chinchouzujian rolled his eyes and said, however, since I can't kill it, I won't kill it. This kind of thing, but it's not our dead people's turn to take care of it. Looking at the first Hokage who instantly became the shopkeeper, the people present finally understood why Madara Uchiha had a meal in the first place. I despised it. However, you kid, how come you are a traitor? I remember the last time we met, I was still thinking, next time you should be a Hokage. Chinchujujian turned back to look at Long Yu. Looking at this scene, Heiju suddenly came to the spirit. If the first Hokage can also be successful in sowing discord, then the plan can be put in order, making them the ace in the fight against Uchiha Ryu. The first Hokage-sama, you don't know something. That day Uchiha Ryu betrayed the Konoha ninja village, not only secretly hunting the 3 generations of Raikage, the 3 generations of water shadows, the 3 generations of wind shadows, the tailed beasts and the people's Uri, but also the 3 generations of Raikage. There is no escape, and now he has 3 tailed beasts in his hands, and at the same time he plans to fight the 5 great ninja villages. Heiju's spit star opened, he hurriedly turned on the strongest mouth gun mode. Lord Hokage of the first generation, as a hero in pacifying the war, you definitely don't want to see the ninja world plunged into chaos. Once you let him gather all the 9 big-tailed beasts, who of the 5 major countries can fight against him? The slightly long-sounding voice reverberated between heaven and earth. The taste between the lines is simply the knowledge that moves with reason and emotion. If you can, add 2 tears, it's just perfect. Are you finished? The first Hokage was stunned for a moment, and the next moment in full view, he crossed his hips and laughed loudly. Madara, have you seen it? I said, Konoha is a talented person, killed 3 generations of Reikage, and then killed 3 generations of Mizukage. Even the 3 generations of Fungying have not let go. This method is really amazing. If, one day, you even catch the 9 big-tailed beasts, then, I really want to fight with you to see who is the best. After all, the tailed beasts have no pressure to catch, it's too trivial. The unbridled laughter reverberated between heaven and earth, causing the huge scene to fall into inexplicable silence. Even Heiju, the strongest mouth gun, was stunned. I thought that letting the first Hokage know that Uchiha Ryu's evil deeds would stimulate the heart to clear the door. I never imagined that everything presented in front of me would not develop according to the script at all. First Hokage-sama, do you hate it? This is the betrayal of Konoha Ninja Village. Heiju's face was ashen, and he couldn't help asking questions. So what if I'm dead? I can't handle this kind of thing. The first Hokage rolled his eyes and said, what's more, he didn't kill. Hokage, he has something to do with me. HMPH, column. There is no mistake in saying that. The ninja world is a world like the strong prey on the weak. Killing and being killed are only the way of the strong. Madara Uchiha also snorted coldly, his eyes turned in vain, locked on Long Yu's body, and said, although I don't want to admit it, you did kill me once that day. However, at that time, I was on the verge of death. Even if I used the forbidden technique and burned my last life, I would only return to 2 or 3/10 of the heyday. If you kill me, you will still be invincible. Now, I was reincarnated by your dirty soil, but this time I have recovered 50% of my strength. It is not a problem to get rid of the current control. The voice that was uttered was like thunder. Madara Uchiha was the first to move, and his hands quickly flipped, forming a series of mysterious spells. When the last magic seal fell, a black light distorted like a phantom of death, escaping directly into the void. The reincarnation solution of dirty earth. Voice fell, and the connection between Uchiha Madara and Long Yu was directly cut off. After all, since Madara Uchiha was summoned to the present, Ryu has not implanted a spell to enhance control in their bodies like Orochimaru in the original book. This kind of connection may be forcibly manipulated for ordinary reincarnated objects from filthy soil. But for a legendary ninja like Madara Uchiha, it's of little use. Looking at this scene, Heiju's face showed joy, and he hurriedly slapped a fart and said, Lord Ban, congratulations on you getting rid of the control of this hateful person, but... Having said that, Heiju couldn't help but take a look at the original Hokage. Now Madara Uchiha is temporarily standing on their alliance front, but if the first Hokage comes to help Long Yu, the balance of victory has not changed. Hehe, don't stare at me, I'm not involved in this matter. Of course, if this kid knows how to force and control, then I can't do anything about it. Spoke, the first Hokage kept winking at Long Yu. If you let him, in Orochimaru and Danzo, this kind of disgusting reincarnation will be staged at every turn. Let's compare it to the guy who studies the human body. This inconsistency, the dragon feathers who killed the 3 generations of Reikage, the 3 generations of Kazekage, and the 3 generations of Water Shadows seemed even more cute. However, in the face of this blatant expression, Long Yu just smiled and shook his head, looked at Madara Uchiha and said, Lord Hokage, please stay by the side, I waited for a long time, I thought the kitten was 2 or 3. Only, there is no way for me to let go of the fight and loosen my muscles and bones. I said that if I can kill you once, I can kill you twice, even the 3rd time. Madara, are you ready to be killed by me for the 3rd time? The arrogant person, as my junior, is so arrogant, I will kill you today. Madara Uchiha's face sank, and the tyrannical chakra dormant in his body exploded like a frenzy. Breath rose into the sky, and it even set off a hurricane and rolled back into the field. The violent scene caused Heiju to quickly withdraw and retreat, falling on the side of Sanjiao Hanzo and the others, and said with a livid expression, the first Hokage didn't make a move, and Mr. Yuban took the lead. This is an opportunity for a sneak attack. Hey, are you listening to me? Heiju urged with a slight displeasure. This time, he even sold his old face, which made Uchiha Madara violent. Once this living sacrifice could not support the reincarnation of the dirty earth, Madara Uchiha returned to the underworld. Chapter 215. Do you have any other means? What awaits them is the unfathomable Uchiha Ryu. However, as soon as these words were uttered, Orochimaru's voiceless exclamation fell in his ears. That kid, won't you really learn that trick? The violent scene made everyone's nerves tense suddenly. Even Heiju was no exception, hurriedly following Long Yu. It was a scene that he was not familiar with. Long Yu's hands suddenly moved, and at the moment of flying, Susanoo, a huge tens of meters, showed a posture of 3 heads and 6 arms. The 6 scorpions burst into scarlet blood, and in an instant they started hands together. A series of mysterious magic seals flew down like a wheel. When the last magic seal fell, a rolling wave of air swooped down from above the 9 heavens. PFF'd. The blasting sound of the air is endless, and a huge oppressive force directly tore the clouds. Witnessing the blackness of this scene, the pupils shrank suddenly, as Madara Uchiha's little follower. It certainly knows what that means. The starting point is the natural obstacles, who can stand it for ordinary people? Hurry up and escape, this kind of battle is not something we can intervene at all. Orochimaru took the lead and retreated. Watching the huge meteorite with a diameter of several hundred meters falling from the sky, the air along the way was even more turbulent like waves. Hundreds of people in the town pulled away like grasshoppers and fled in all directions. It's just that, during this process, from time to time someone looked back and looked behind. Madara Uchiha, who was standing in the same place with a gloomy expression, there was a hint of urgency on his face. In their eyes, the fight of ninjas is at most just the intersection of fists and feet, and casual ninjutsu. I never thought that Uchiha Ryu, who is known as Konoha's blood-colored Asura, would be so shocking as soon as he made a move. Put the meteorite. Looking at the huge battlefield, even the demigods fled with twitching cheeks. Not to mention these little ninjas who have no counterattack. Now, their only thought is to take a look. Faced with this blow, how did Madara Uchiha, known as the old legend of the Uchiha clan, deal with it? Okay, very good, I didn't expect you to even inherit my ninjutsu, today I'm going to see how you killed me the 3rd time. Madara Uchiha covered half of his cheeks. The exposed kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, the moment of crazy rotation. The dark blue pupil power exploded like a frenzy. Under the watchful eyes of the public, he instantly turned into a 100-meter tall, like an iron tower, a majestic Susanoo clad in armor. Facing the gigantic meteor that roared down, his hands suddenly clenched under the sword of Susan, without any fancy. It slashed towards the sky diagonally. PFF'd. The air was torn apart instantly, and the ground pointed by the sword edge was cut open. The fierce astral chi that it brought up was gushed out like a drill. The next moment, with lightning speed, it collided with the falling meteorite. Boom! The dull and thunderous collision sound is like rolling. Under the unrelenting collision, the huge meteorite was instantly split open by force. Above the sword's edge, the fierce wind contained in it directly detonated. It was followed by a series of explosions and flames. The meteorite caused by the asteroid shattered quickly in response to the sound. A large piece of gravel and dust splashed all over the sky, like a heavy rainstorm. A group of ninjas who fled 500 or 600 meters away looked at the attack that swung their swords at will, enough to cut off the mountain in the middle, and their faces were shocked at the same time. Susanoo, which Madara Uchiha transformed into, moved again. The sword of Susanoo, which was clenched tightly in the other hand, was unsheathed again. The fierce and violent winds descended together, facing the sky and passing through. A low sonic boom suddenly sounded. Air seemed to be penetrated, and the scattered sand and dust in the sky also rolled back around, giving people a feeling that the clouds and mists were cleared to see the sky. However, what caught my eye was another 10 octobigentillion 800 quintillion SDBDBD is that the size is no less than a natural obstacle star. In the face of the thorns, they collided in an instant. Boom! The sound of thunderous explosions can be heard incessantly. The crushed meteorite was shattered again, turning into sand and gravel while the torrential rain slanted down. Like a gesture, the attack of Uchiha Ryu was resolved. This made Madara Uchiha put a smile on his face. This intergenerational confrontation can be considered a jackpot. Be careful. Heiju's urgent cry came suddenly. Madara Uchiha was stunned at first, and then he hurriedly looked up at the sky, and the sight made his pupils shrink suddenly. That fell from the sky and quickly enlarged in his pupils made him feel that he was caught off guard. This day, the star was blocked, and the horse was turned into 3. Why can't I summon 3? Long Yu smiled playfully, the 9 jade hooks in his pupils turned in vain, and his right hand suddenly caught it. Gravity pupil 10 times. Boom! Invisible gravity pours down on the meteorite like a frenzy. After the first 2 bought time, the distance between them was not far. Under the blessing of 10 times the gravity, the power of the swooping rolling increased instantly, and the short kilometer distance was only shortened in the blink of an eye. Without any bells and whistles, it slammed heavily on Susanoo's body. Boom! The dull thunder-like collision sound gave people a destructive attitude. The huge impact force, coupled with the blessing of gravity, Susanoo almost wanted to react, and the block was also a beat slower. The ground under his feet was the first to be unable to withstand this mountain-like oppressive force. The next moment, there was a cracking sound, and then it cracked open like a spider web in front of everyone's eyes. Little support from the 100-meter Susanoo, there was a deafening sound of heavy objects hitting the ground. Under the watchful eyes of the public, he slumped on the ground abruptly. Madara Uchiha, who was trapped in it, twitched her cheeks with anger. If he was not the product of the reincarnation of the dirty earth, he would have already opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. A death from anger. A moment ago, he also threatened to kill Long Yu. Never occurred to him that he would fall into the pit as a matter of course, starting with a natural obstacle. Bang! The huge impact, with a crushing taste, swept the entire town. That passed along the way were torn to shreds like a piece of paper, and turned into ruins. Susanoo, who was lying down, struggled frantically under Madara Uchiha's hysterical roar. The 6 arms were under the blessing of gravity, and the fingers were like spears, directly buckled on the huge meteorite. The next moment, he was lifted up with a bang, and Susanoo, who had been crushed to the ground, even stood up straighter inch by inch. Looking at Madara Uchiha, who was so majestic, sitting cross-legged on the side of Senjuju, with excitement on his face, he couldn't help but look at Long Yu and said, "Boy, Madara is only 50 to 60% of the heyday left. 56, strength. However, such an attack is difficult to defeat him. Do you have any other means?" As Madara Uchiha's strongest opponent and the one who knows him best, Chisho Hashima certainly knows his depths. Chapter 216, Time and Space Ninjutsu. But he is more interested in Uchiha Ryu. He wanted to see if this junior could reach their heights. Is it? Long Yu let out a sigh of turbidity, and his eyes turned in vain to lock on Madara's body. I originally wanted to warm up, but now it seems that the audience can't wait. The inexplicable words made the expressions of the people present stagnate for a while. The next moment, Long Yu clenched his hands suddenly, his eyes were like a falcon, and instantly became sharp like a blade. Bang! With a heavy step, the ground beneath his feet shattered, and under the crackling electric arc, Long Yu switched directly to the chakra mode. With the help of body activation, the speed was obviously increased to the extreme, like a thunderbolt, tearing the air in front of Susanoo, who appeared outside Madara Uchiha. Without any transformation, the 4 fingers of the right hand suddenly tightened, and under the thunder light, it was like an indestructible thunder light spear, with an indomitable posture, mixed with rolling sound, and stabbed down. Boom! There is a thunder on the ground. The thunder that splashed, swept away like an electric snake. At the same time, the huge impact force made Susanoo, who was 100 meters tall, fly upside down by more than 10 meters in an instant. Under the watchful eyes of the public, he hit the thick city wall of the town and stopped his body with a bang. Looking at this huge body over 100 meters, this violent blow was directly knocked into the air, and many people gasped and exclaimed a monster at the same time. Then he saw Uchiha frantically laughing. "Ha ha, bastard, if I'm not mistaken, it should be Yunren's little trick, but you want to beat me like this, it's too ridiculous." "Is it?" Long Yu responded with a smile, instantly tightening everyone's nerves. I hurriedly followed the sound, and the thunder arc that was raging around the body suddenly surged, like a frenzy, and poured directly into the right hand. The next moment, the target was the moment when the transformation between the four fingers turned into one. The sound of puffing and tearing of cloth resounded suddenly, and the thundering light of the chisel that was swallowed became more and more condensed, as if it had turned into a real entity. Whole body is covered with mysterious thunder patterns. Without any fancy, Long Yu took another step forward. With the blessing of the thunderbolt quickening technique, like a ghost, he appeared in front of Susanoo on Uchiha Madara's body. As soon as he stood firm and occupied Uchiha Madara's pupils, he was shocked by the stab of hell. Boom! Lightning flashed, and with a stance that could not cover his ears, he stabbed the mighty Susanoo hard. With the bright light blooming, the arc burst down. A crisp cracking sound suddenly came out, and the spider web-like crack spread and opened. Madara Uchiha's face changed at first, and then suddenly, when the kaleidoscope writing wheel was turning frantically, the angry roars continued. "Fuck me, arrogant!" The rush of pupil power, like a volcanic eruption, exploded directly out of Madara Uchiha's body. The next moment, like a vast ocean, it poured frantically into Susanoo's body. The originally cracked cobweb was quickly repaired under this enormous force, and in a blink of an eye, the mighty armor that shrouded Susanoo's body was restored to its original state. "Oh, your tortoise shell is also quite resistant." Long Feng snorted lightly, and the violent thunder light on his body subsided slightly. Bound by gravity, finally broke free, and his huge hand, like a banana, slapped Long Yu head-on. However, this rage-filled attack has explosive power that surpasses the limit. However, in the face of all this, Long Yu stood in the same place as if turning a blind eye. Witnessing this scene, Madara Uchiha, who had lost her face in the confrontation just now, laughed horribly. "Boy, you are in a daze at this time, but you have to pay the price with your life. You can die for me." The rolling voices give people a feeling of winning. However, in the eyes of Nagato and others, his cheeks twitched slightly. Who is known as the legend of the Uchiha clan and can be compared with the god of the ninja world, it seems to see the two of them not long ago. With a tenacious posture, the big hand that slapped down with lightning speed, passed through Long Yu's body in an instant, and slapped on the ground with a bang. The thunderous roar made the ground instantly padded. Smash! The cracked ground and the rolling sand and dust rolled back like a tornado. Ripples like a mirror image on the lake, Uchiha Ryu returned to normal again. At the same time that everyone's pupils shrank, even Chinsho Hashirama, who was watching the play, suddenly became interested. "This should be space-time ninjutsu, right?" Chinshujuma guessed and said to himself. In the moment just now, the aura that existed in this world disappeared without a trace, and after the attack, it recovered again. Isn't this one of the pupil techniques of Kaleidoscope Shaker's eyes? You kid, how evil is the awakened bloodline, and has so many pupil techniques changes. As the god of the ninja world, he was able to create ninjutsu with a long name that even Madara Uchiha complained at a very young age. I have also seen the second-generation Hokage and the time-space ninjutsu of Senju Tobarama, so the vision of Senju Hashima is not ordinary people can compare. Looking at Long Yu walking out of the collapsing dust, the curiosity on his face became even more intense. However, compared to the melon-eating crowd of Senju Hashirama, Madara Uchiha was obviously unable to hold back his breath, and at the same time as he roared, Susanoo's 6 arms were flying incessantly, in a manner that could not cover his ears. Crazy smashed down to the dragon feather. A while, the sound of drums was heard endlessly, only that one figure in the sand and dust, like walking in a courtyard, walking like a devil, tensing everyone's nerves to face the escaped Uchiha Madara, and the like. If the crazy attack, and the strong turtle shell on top. Desperately want to know how to decide the winner. Bang! The dull thunderous slaps echoed in the sky in all directions. Under the tension of everyone's nerves, a figure finally shot out from the dust in the sky. The violent scene instantly affected Madara Uchiha's nerves, and while roaring, a pair of big hands attacked Long Yu together. Boy, where to escape? I don't believe that your time-space ninjutsu can be flawless. It is a legend of the Uchiha clan who are said to be comparable to the gods of the ninja world. Madara Uchiha was indeed furious, but he was unable to take down Long Yu for a long time, which gradually calmed him down under the condition of anger. In Yinju's eyes, the pair of hands that slammed together with lightning speed were reflected, and his face was hideous. Bang! A powerful slap, and the rewinding airflow swept away like a frenzy. Chapter 217. This is the beginning. As it rolled away, it brought a suffocating feeling. Where the slightly raised hands collided made Madara Uchiha's face show a hint of ecstasy. Haha, I succeeded. Don't you like to run away very much? Why don't you run away? Madara Uchiha laughed uncontrollably. However, as soon as the voice fell, the palms that had been trying to merge with each other slightly bulged. The sudden scene touched the nerves of many people. After all, this hand was a natural obstacle, and it was like a battle between gods and men. But it overturned their perception. If there is no way to suppress Ryu, even the attacks of such existences as Madara Uchiha, then the title of Konoha's blood-colored Asura, after this battle, is probably at its peak. Feeling the tension returned by Susanoo, Madara Uchiha's expression stagnated. He didn't have time to think about it, and the remaining 2 hands pressed down in a hurry. 3 pairs of big hands, like the blessing of 3 big mountains, have the power to roll on them. However, in the face of this scene, when you put it in your hands again, the slightly raised arc seems to give people an illusion of motionlessness. To cause this situation, it means that Madara Uchiha unleashed the seemingly fierce and unparalleled attack, and there is no way to shake the dragon feather. To be unscathed under the rolling of 3 pairs of big hands, it takes a huge amount of strength. Seeing this strange scene, Matt Dai and Ji Yujia, who had been serving as the melon eaters, couldn't help but glance at each other. After seeing Long Yu's godlike strength with his own eyes, an absurd thought popped into his mind. Could it be, that kid has already learned the 8-door Dunjia formation? The thought flashed by, and the 2 hurriedly looked at the moment. That were originally closed seemed to be hit by an invisible force in an instant. The light blue air waves splashed and leaked in both palms like a hurricane. The next moment, the 3 pairs of big hands seemed to be unstoppable, and were instantly stretched. Bang! The huge force feedback directly caused Madara Uchiha to let out a muffled groan. Susanoo took a few steps back and smashed into the city wall again. Looking at the dragon feather covered in blue water vapor, Madara Uchiha's expression changed dramatically, and he again drove Susanoo to stand up in a hurry, and the awe-inspiring wind with his right hand was thrown out again. However, this time, Long Yu moved first. The moment when both hands suddenly clenched their fists. A long whistle came from his mouth. What he has to do now is to see how many doors he can open based on his current physical condition. Bang! The violent air waves exploded instantly like a frenzy. Long Yu took the first step, and when the physical skills were exerted to a certain extent, it was enough to reach the level of an instant body. As soon as everyone reacted, Susao's big hand fell in an instant. Long Yu clenched his hands and fingers suddenly, like a cannonball, tore out a heavy blow. Uchiha Madara, I hope the heavens will love the peacock. With the movement of both fists, the wind is like a tidal wave, and the extreme speed friction, under the activation of the body cells by the Lei Dun chakra mode, sparks burst into the sky in an instant. The 100-meter-high Susanoo was instantly enveloped in it. Distance, it is like a peacock opening its screen, shaking people's hearts. This is a physical technique based solely on high-speed punches, and under the friction with the air, it forms a huge fire fist impact. This kid's physical technique is probably still above Tobirama. Chinchujuma couldn't help being surprised. However, when these words came out, the words that fell in my ears were disturbing. His nerves. Not for him, this is probably just the beginning. Matekai and Kosuke rushed to Senju Hasuma's side. Thinking of it, not long ago, they despised Ryayu, and privately took the 8-door dungeon technique as a bet and taught it to Uchiha Ryayu. In their eyes, such advanced physical techniques can only be successfully exercised with perseverance. Didn't take more than 10 years, or even decades, to master it. Never occurred to me that Uchiha Ryayu, who is known as Konoha's blood-colored Asura, actually only took half a day to open the 6th gate. Seeing that look of ease and ease, Matdai and Gyugia couldn't help but throb in their hearts. There was a murmur in my heart. This time, they may accidentally create a body monster. You mean, this is the beginning? Chinchujujian's expression couldn't help but stagnate. The next moment, the battle in the sky seemed to be responding to him. Frantic roar from Uchiha Madara suddenly sounded. Damn boy! Fire escape dust hidden technique. The hot fly ash was swallowed out of Madara Uchiha's mouth, and instantly passed through Susanoo's body and quickly rolled back around. The next moment, like a misty-horned dragon, it rolled and wrapped around Uchiha Ryayu. As soon as the dust approached, as soon as it touched Mars, a series of rumbling explosions were instantly emitted. Firelight emerged, intent on engulfing Long Yu in an instant. At the same time, with the help of these little tricks to cover the line of sight, to buy a breath of time, regroup again. However, this idea just popped into Madara Uchiha's mind. The next moment, a thunderous roar, like a magic sound, penetrated everyone's nerves. The 7th gate of the 8 gates Dunjia formation is shocked to open. Bang! The blue sweat, like a steaming volcano, exploded in full view. The next moment, the dust that had just approached Long Yu's side rolled back like a frenzy. Looking at his face flushed like blood, his facial veins protruding, like a ferocious centipede, the aura he exuded was matched with a pair of scarlet-like 9-hooked jade kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. The empty and stepping-like figure in front of him gave people the illusion that a god and a demon had descended into the world. Is this still human? Ridiculous thoughts come to mind, no matter what. It was the melon-eating crowd present, and even Senju Hashima, who had always been indifferent and only slightly interested. At this moment, he also sat up straight. The huge battlefield, everyone fell into a dead silence. Looking at the sky, that dragon feather, like a god and demon, bathed in transpiring blue sweat, a trace of inexplicable urgency appeared on his face. The dust that rolled backwards revealed Susanoo, who was covering Madara Uchiha in an instant. Meters apart, although I was in Susanoo, I felt this indescribable aura, as if there was an invisible big hand tightly clenching my heart. Madara Uchiha didn't have time to think about it, seeing the dust roll away. His hands flew up quickly, forming a series of spells. The next moment, the mouth bulged, and the fiery chakra rushed in, accompanied by the sound of puffing the air. Dragon head flames, like a violent storm, attacked Uchiha Longyu across the air. The art of fire escaped dragon fire. Of more than 100 meters was only in the blink of an eye, and as soon as the flames of the dragon head came out, even the temperature around them instantly soared. Chapter 218, The 8th Door. Seeing that the attack was about to approach, Long Yu moved. In front of everyone's eyes, his hands were intertwined like lightning. The next moment, his eyes were sharp like a falcon, and the aura of the whole person was exposed. Hands with special imprints, point out from the space. Poof! As soon as I pointed it out, the space was shattered like a mirror, and the air ripples opened. The flames of the faucet head that came in front of him seemed to have a stagnation. The next moment, waiting for everyone to react. The endless aura emanating from the body is like a surging sea, and it gathers crazily. Thunderstorm Day Tiger. Roar. The roar shook the hills, and the dragon's roar reached the heavens. A giant tiger of dozens of meters condensed in an instant. With a fierce and unparalleled attitude, he rushed out of the sky. Wherever they passed along the way, the flames of the dragon head that filled the sky, like paper paste, were instantly crushed, and scattered between the sky and the earth like smoke. At the same time, the might of the tiger was like a tidal wave, under the astonished gaze of everyone. As if twisting space, teleported, and came one step ahead of Uchiha Madara. Boom! The crashing sound like thunder pierced into the sky above the 9 heavens. The roaring waves gave people the illusion of a Category 12 hurricane passing through. The already broken buildings along the way, under this kind of attack, were finally unable to support, and with a hum, they collapsed with a bang. The oncoming wind and sand, the mighty power that swept across the sky, made it extremely difficult for people to even open their eyes. However, in the face of all this, the people present did not take it to heart. It can be said that what they are most eager to see now is the final confrontation between the old and new legends of the Uchiha clan. Known as the Uchiha clan, Susanoo, who is absolutely defensive, will win or lose against the mighty ninja technique. Cracked. I don't know who exclaimed, and looked like a meteorite fell from the sky, hitting the giant tiger in the majestic Susanoo. The seemingly indestructible armor, in an instant, made a crisp cracking sound, spreading out cracks like a spider web. The next moment, it burst open like a mirror. The giant vacuum tiger surrounded by thunderstorms collided with Madara Uchiha in an instant. Boom! A dull, thunderous explosion sounded incessantly. Which were already in jeopardy, were destroyed. At the same time as the earth crumbled, the gravel and dust rolled back, giving people the feeling of covering the sun. Who couldn't escape, overturned in the oncoming gravel. The thunderous scene made Shinsho Zujian, who has been calm and composed, stand up straight. Looking at the sky, the figure in the bath-colored steam and the crackling arc was full of disbelief. Successful, he really succeeded. Even I have been practicing hard for decades, but I haven't fully mastered the 7th door. He actually spent half a day to learn it. If Kai knows, he has practiced hard for the 8th door Dunjia. Hooray! Even the absolute defense of the Uchiha clan has been smashed. He will definitely be full of admiration. Matty was incoherent with excitement. Has always been the identity of the ninja, but it made Kai, shamed and ridiculed. Although he has always supported the practice of taijutsu, Kai gave Matty the feeling that he was groping forward in a dark path. It can be said that Kai did not even have the goal in front of him. However, now Uchiha Ryu is able to exert the power of the 8th door Dunjia formation in theory to such a degree. Even Madara Uchiha, who is known as the legend of the Uchiha clan, can directly turn it over. If other taijutsu ninjas know about it, it will definitely become a guiding light. After all, Matte's physical strength can't be compared to Uchiha Ryu. Opening 6 doors is already the limit. Once you open 7 doors, your body strength may not be able to support it, and your muscles and bones will be damaged. Unless you have the determination to die, the 8th gate is even more difficult than reaching the sky. You bastard, I'm going to kill you. A hysterical roar rang out in the endless sandstorm. A figure that destroyed half of his body rushed out from the dust. The half of his body that was quickly reorganizing like pieces of clay. This bizarre scene is simply shocking. Many people couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. They know very well that even Madara Uchiha, who is under Susanoo, who is known as the absolute defense of the Uchiha clan, cannot resist this blow. If it wasn't for the undead body reincarnated from the dirt, I'm afraid it would have been dead by now. If the attack falls on them, it will definitely become a pile of meat sauce. Hee, the reincarnation of the dirt is really against the sky, but the only flaw is that it can't beat people. Long Yu felt the sour feeling coming from his whole body. However, this is a great opportunity for me to open the 8th door. The small voice swept the audience like a hurricane. The expressions of the people present couldn't help stiffening, and even Madara Uchiha, who was roaring hysterically and seeking revenge on Uchiha Ryu, was instantly dumbfounded. Suddenly became heavy, rapid breathing, and eyes that were almost split, unbelievable. The mere 7th gate can turn the legend of the Uchiha clan over. If it really opens to the 8th gate, who can fight against Uchiha Ryu? Once it comes to that sharp edge, who can hinder his pace? Thinking of this, the 5 great ninja villages, the so-called alliances, seemed pale and powerless. Shinshujujian also had a feeling that he couldn't sit still, and he stopped talking with a look on his face. However, before they could react, the situation in front of them changed again. Falling into the eyes, many people were shocked. The huge ruins of the town, the sand and dust rolled back and forth. The endless airwaves collapsed like a tide, and the whole world fell into an inexplicable silence. Facing the further 8th gate, everyone's breathing became the occasion of rapidity. Entered the scene, his expression was stunned. Originally, after suffering the thunderstorm and the thunderous blow, it is still the body of the soil that quickly reorganized. The speed of recovery, there was a slight stagnation at first, and the next moment, like a mirror, it suddenly cracked. As the crack quickly spread and opened, Madara Uchiha's only remaining half of her cheek was twisted in a terrifying manner. "You bastard, this time I'm only showing 50% of my strength." "Ban, it's already 60 to 70%, 67, don't run the train with your mouth full, it's a shame to deceive the younger generation." Shinshuju suddenly interjected. Madara Uchiha's expression froze, and his roar continued. "Shut up, this is a natural idiot, but I have 12 points of strength. Keiju, let me show up next time, let me show the strength of the peak, otherwise I will kill you first. Uchiha Ryu, I will definitely let you die without a place to be buried." Chapter 219, Sanjiao Hanzo Cut Belly. The rolling voice, mixed with hysteria, caused the people present to look at each other. Whose body collapsed inch by inch, the huge aura emanating from Long Yu's body was annihilated between heaven and earth in an instant. S resentful gaze, Long Yu smiled genially and said, "Next time we meet, I will use the 8th door to let you continue to dance." You. Madara Uchiha suddenly became angry, this is his mantra. However, he who made others dance all day, has now become the object of others dancing. The gap between the front and the back is too big. However, before he can reply, the breeze that slowly drifted by, the reincarnated body of the dirt that he was struggling to support at the end, directly turned into debris in the sky, and collapsed in the heaven and earth between. For a time, the huge ruins of the town left only a messy battle trace. Also, those stiff-faced melon eaters. "Your name is Matt Dai, does the 8th door that the kid said really exists?" Chinsho Zujian let out a sigh of turbidity and couldn't help asking. Matt Dai suddenly woke up, feeling the gazes around him, and after opening his mouth, he said with a little excitement, "The 8th gate does exist. However, that is the door of death. Once it is opened, you must hold the determination to die, and you can instantly exert a power that is 10 times stronger than that of the shadow-level existence, and surpasses the peak of the ninja world." From the 10 times Yuying's strength field, there was the sound of sucking in cold air, and even the pupils of Jia on the side could not help shrinking. However, he quickly reacted, and Jia said happily, "Fortunately, the 8th gate is opened, but there are restrictions on death, 10 times the strength of the shadow. I am afraid that even in its heyday, it is said to have 12 points of strength. Madara has also been turned over again." Faced with this remark, many people also nodded secretly and breathed a sigh of relief. "Not afraid of many enemies, but I am most afraid that the enemy is too powerful to make people desperate. Uchiha Ryu, who has opened 7 shocking doors, has already made him unattainable. Once the 8 gates are opened, it is too powerful to make people desperate. No. Shinsho Hashirama, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke up. Don't forget, he is a new legend of the Uchiha clan, and he cannot be estimated by common sense. I really hope that next time I am summoned by the reincarnation of the dirt, don't go to Uchiha Ryu who has overcome the dead door. Leaving these words, the mud-like body of Shinsho Zujian, who was reincarnated in the dirt, also quickly collapsed inch by inch, and collapsed between the heavens and the earth. Just like Madara Uchiha, the summoning time limit was clearly reached. Along with a refreshing breeze, Senju Hashirama, who is known as the god of the ninja world, left behind these shocking words, and disappeared completely without a trace. However, in the face of this remark, the eyes of many people locked on Uchiha Ryu's body, his Adam's apple rolled down, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva subconsciously. Long Yu landed on the ground in midair, his eyes widened. They passed through Danzo and the others one by one. This glance made them suddenly feel a sense of death. That was like a fight between gods seemed very complicated, but it only took a few minutes before and after. In the eyes of Danzo Highway and others, they thought that this battle was encouraging Madara Uchiha to rise up. Was possible to find a flaw and give Uchiha Longyu a sneak attack that could not cover his ears. But I never thought that the imagination is beautiful, and the reality is full of skinny. However, regardless of it was Danzo or Highway, even Orochimaru, without the slightest hesitation, turned around and ran away. After witnessing Longyu with his own eyes, the fighting style like divine might, whoever gets tougher will die without a doubt. For a time, on the huge battlefield, the four people who led the hunt this time, only the Sanjiao Yu Hanzo, known as the demigod, was left. Witnessing this scene, the Anbu ninjas of Yunin village who were hiding in the shadows did not have time to think about it, so they all pulled away and rushed out. Under the belief instilled in their minds, the leader will not retreat, and the only thing they can do is to fight to the death. Lord Hanzo, let's fight with you. Lord Hanzo, even if we break our heads and shed blood, we won't snort. The voice of awe-inspiring death rang out one after another in the field. In just a few dozen seconds, there were hundreds of confidants standing around Sanjiao Yu Hanzo. An awe-inspiring aura of death was gathered in an instant. Seeing this scene made Xiaozan and the others look embarrassed. Are both two major power groups, and compared with these Yurin Anbu who are not afraid of death, they are often in strife, obviously they can't compare with them. However, you can't blame them for that. Sanjiao Yu Hanzo, the confidant of Anbu under his command, all use the dead men of the family power, brainwashed since childhood. Only the leader can decide their life and death, they must not say half a word. It can be said that the difference is not big in ordinary tasks, but in this situation of life and death, all meanings are different. For a time, everyone's eyes were locked on Sanshoyu Hanzo's body. Nagato, Yahiko and Xiaonan III, fell down on Long Yu's side, and said in a deep voice, "You have experienced a lot of battle just now, and you should be tired, why don't you hand over the Sanjiao Yu Hanzo to us to deal with?" As the second largest force in Yurin village, it has been stumbled by the envoy of Sanjiao Yu Hanzo one after another. If it wasn't for Long Yu's repeated efforts to save him, then what awaited them would have already been the destruction of the Xiao organization. So, in this fight, the old hatred and the new hatred are counted together. Either you die or the rhythm of my death. However, just after these words fell, under the astonished eyes of everyone, they saw Sanjiao Yu Hanzo grabbing the chain sickle around his waist. In front of everyone's eyes, he made a shocking move. "You all leave." Sanjiao Yu Hanzo's slightly vicissitudes of words came out, and before everyone's eyes, he knelt on the ground with a thud. The chain scythe raised in his hand slashed straight to his abdomen. The violent scene, like a samurai cutting the abdomen, made the expressions of the people in the field change drastically. However, under this close distance, no one can stop it. The next moment, the sickle instantly pierced the waist of Sanshoyu Hanzo. PFF'd, blood splattered, and a large amount of purple liquid overflowed. This is from Urin village, and the unique mountain pepperfish is highly poisonous. The same day, the Sanshoyu Hanzo, after successfully killing the Sanshoyu, took off its poison sac and buried it in his own body. This caused every breath he breathed to be highly poisonous. Just stay in the same place with him for a while. It will be poisoned and killed unknowingly. It is for this reason that Hanzo Sanshoyu wears this breathing apparatus. And the so-called demigod Sanjiao Hanzo, the biggest weakness is the place where the poison sac is buried. The violent scene made the expression of Yunin Anbu in the field change drastically. The leader who took the lead was the first to shout in a hurry, "Master Hanzo, why are you doing this? We can fight to the end." Chapter 220, Why do you know my plan? The hysterical roar seemed to confirm the thoughts of the rest of Yunin Anbu. However, in the face of this scene, Sanshoyu Hanzo's eyes became brighter and brighter, and he turned to look at Uchiha Ryu in vain and said, "In this life, I, Sanshoyu Hanzo, as the top leader of Urin village, opened up the battlefield of World War II. It is even more pressing against Konoha Ninja Village, and even the 5 major countries. In the Third Ninja World War, it was more about dealing with great powers. It seemed like a glorious sight." The voice of the vicissitudes of life, with a tragic taste, turned his eyes in vain, fell on the 3 Nagato 3, and immediately laughed loudly. "I am obsessed with the regime, but ignore the importance of my own strength, and I am afraid of a new kid. Power and damage my rule. However, the worst decision I made in my life was to fight with Uchiha Ryu. You are the enemy. They can escape, but I, Sanjiao Hanzo, have no face to face the people of the clan. Instead of letting the clansmen under my command be buried with them, I hope you can let me apologize to me with death." The slightly long-sounding voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Everyone's expressions couldn't help but change slightly, and when they looked at Sanjiao Hanzo, there was a little more respect. Just as he was about to say a few words of admiration, a ghostly body burst out in the underground ruins behind Longyu. At a close distance, it is only 2 or 3 meters apart. With the bandaged face and the white hair on his face roared with joy while his face was mad. Escape the evil and self-destruction. As soon as the white figure appeared behind Longyu, his right hand slammed into it, and the pitch-black vortex quickly opened, and the fiery light instantly lit up. If I don't feel wrong, this aura should be the same as Madara Uchiha. As long as this strike hits, the godlike boy in front of him and the 3 leaders of Xiao's organization will definitely die in an instant. The violent scene made Nagato and the others nervously tense, and they hurriedly pulled away to help, but they suddenly found that their body had become abnormally dull, and an unspeakable numbness swept through the whole body. At this juncture, it was impossible to react in time. This strange scene not only happened to Nagato's 3 people, but also Kosuke and Matai, and even other members of the Akatsuki organization, noticed something was wrong. Looking at the sudden scene, the man who suddenly attacked, opened his mouth wrapped in bandages, and showed a smile of successful trickery. However, he hadn't seen the victory that he ushered in, and the next moment he saw a big hand, which quickly enlarged in his pupil power with lightning speed. Without any bells and whistles, it was directly buttoned on his face. The next moment, the 5 fingers suddenly exerted force, and the whole body was pulled out from the soil. Like a battle axe, it smashed directly to the ground with violent thunderlight. Lei Dunping abuses 2,000 streams. Boom! It was like a thunderous explosion, and it was a constant roar. The whole ground, as if overwhelmed, collapsed. The huge impact force even shattered the ground of the rock formations tens of meters along the way. Like a sandbag, the white-haired man who was hit hard on the ground spat out a mouthful of blood in disbelief, his entire sternum shattered and collapsed. That miserable appearance is simply outrageous. Witnessing this scene, I was still performing a sensational scene, and I chose to cut off the belly and kill Hanzo. I didn't have time to think about it, and I wanted to get out and stand up. But the next moment, a radius of more than 10 meters. The ground swelled up instantly. When the soil turned outwards, snow-white bone spears, like long spears, directly penetrated his body. PFF'd. The sound of torn cloth came out, blood splashed and splattered on the ground, like a shocking blood-colored flower. Who was pierced by dozens of bone spears, looked at Junmalu, who came out with disbelief on his face, and looked at Long Yu with blood spitting out. Why would you know my plan? Why, you are not poisoned. Looking at the huge ninja world, the poison of Sanjiao fish is one of the best. Most importantly, its poisonous gas is still colorless and odorless, which can kill people invisibly. Ordinary people will surely die if they touch it a little. As for gods like Long Yu, as long as they are not out of the scope of people, Sanjiao Yu Hanzo firmly believes that they will be able to poison them. In the eyes of Sanjiao Yu Hanzo, he is different from the bachelor commanders such as Danzo. He also has a regime under his command that took decades to build. On the occasion of Good Night, I am even more obsessed with this. If I want Sanjiao Yu Hanzo to give up these powers, even in the face of Uchiha Ryayu, the monk can't run away from the temple. Therefore, Hanzo is planning to put on a good show. With this awe-inspiring attitude of dying, he cut the poison sac on his body. Let the colorless and odorless toxins of Sanjiao fish into the air, and then use words to delay time. And, let the last trump card hidden in the dark show a lightning-fast killing move, directly taking Long Yu's life. Although, Sanjiao Yu Hanzo has experienced the time and space ninjutsu of Long Yu's amazing skills. But in his eyes, as long as he finds that he is poisoned and his body is a little dull, there will definitely be a flaw in the person. As long as this is caught, Long Yu will surely die. However, looking at Long Yu, who seemed to be nothing at all, Sanjiao Yu Hanzo's face was full of disbelief. Sanjiao Yu Hanzo, you put on a good show, but it's a pity that you meet me who can't see through but not speak. Long Yu smiled dryly. I forgot to tell you, Master Tsunade, but I am half a master. She has already recorded your poison, and even developed an antidote. Unfortunately, when I came, I was more afraid of death, so I made several copies in advance, and it also came in the form of an air volatile agent, which can neutralize the poison you released in the air, the Sanjiao fish. In a word, Hanzo, you died rightly. You are Tsunade's apprentice. Sanjiao Yu Hanzo's expression froze, his face full of disbelief. The Second Ninja World War, Yunin Village was the main battlefield. As a local force, it is even more involved in provoking the Second Ninja War. Sanjiao Yu Hanzo has played against Konoha Sannin many times. Among them, the power of Sanjiao Yu Hanzo comes from almost no solution toxins. The armies of various countries have failed one after another, most of which are because of this colorless and tasteless Sanjiao toxin. And Konoha Ninja Village can be spared, Sannin can survive. The most important thing is that they have Tsunade's powerful healing ninjutsu as the backing, and they have the capital of the waves. As one of the best in medical ninjutsu, it is not a problem to develop an antidote for Sanjiao fish toxin. As the eldest disciple of Tsunade, Mute, this important antidote has already been passed down to Long Yu in private.